Hello there. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to confirm that we are indeed streaming onto our platforms. And we're going to launch today's episode. Thanks for joining. Okay, it looks like we are live here. It looks like we are live here. Where is here? Let me tell you where here is. Rumble, thenewamericanmedia.com. Please link up with us. Also, Facebook, we have a page, The New American Media, on Instagram as well. And then private groups. TNAM's The Agree to Disagree Show. TNAM Fake News, Debunking Conspiracy Theories and Propaganda. TNAM Preparedness. And we're going to stream to all of these groups. And I'm going to say join our live show right now. Wow. That word went really weird. There we go. Right now. We are going. Now let's check in on the new places. Twitch. Let's refresh the feed. Are we streaming live on Twitch? We're streaming live on Twitch. That's fantastic. Are we streaming live on Kick? Yes, we are streaming live on Kick. Not too long of a delay either. I'm waving my arms in real time. Now here's the one, D Live. After 2 weeks of issues, are we finally streaming? Nope, streamer's offline. I don't know what to do about D Live. D Live chat room test. And I believe that comment should show up on the screen here. Oh, we got people in the chat room already, so we will just go ahead and bring you the chat room. That is our D Live chat room message. It comes through, but it doesn't show that it's streaming on D Live. So if anyone's out there watching us on D Live, please comment and let me know that you can view our content, because I can't see it on the screen like I can with Twitch and Kick. Now, we started the New American Media Twitch and Kick and D Live. No, not D Dead, not D Day, not Double D's, not Mickey D's. Kenneth, don't get me started on this word association game. I'm a bit of a savant when it comes to the weirdness involved to play that game well. I'm wired differently. No, D Live. The reason we started these other accounts is because YouTube gave us our first strike in 14 years. 1,800 videos, never received a hard strike before. They gave us a hard strike and had an instant denial of appeal. And they did not tell me exactly which timestamp the problem was. And so we're still talking to YouTube to get that repealed. I'm not holding my breath. They took our monetization away right after we interviewed John McAfee. John McAfee said the CIA got nuked during the Vault 7 data dump. John McAfee being a cybersecurity guy, I booked him on the show. We talked about it. YouTube hated it, took our monetization away. We've been monetized on Rumble for a while. You can do super chats over there, which is great because we're independent media. Those are the ways that we get our operating budget over there. But yeah, that's why we started Rumble as well. So if you're not following the New American Media on Rumble, please do so. We have a Truth Social account. What else? We are TNAM and TNAM Chat on Telegram and Signal. And then our podcast is The Agree to Disagree Show. That encapsulates the TNAM AM Show. So just search The Agree to Disagree Show on Spotify and Apple for the podcast. Donation links down here at patreon.com/The New American Media. Thank you to yet another subscriber on Patreon. Hey, if we get a few hundred more of you, you know what? Everything's going to change with a few hundred more of you. And we know that monthly we can count on your support. But you find us over there. Thank you. Grace, I believe, was the latest one. Thank you so much. And then we're also on Venmo at Brian Engelman, Cash App, $ Brian Engelman, and PayPal at Fuzz Installment. Those just scroll down the bottom of your screen. So if you need to rewind it and watch that for any reason, please do so. I'll put up the other places you can follow the New American Media here. And we will get today's show going. Broadcasting to you live from the Orion Spiral Arm of the Milky Way Galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere in between two formerly tariffed nations. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Friday, April 4th, 2025, and this is the TNAM AM Show, powered by the Agree to Disagree Show, hosted on the new American media because the old American media has failed you. On today's show, we're going to talk about the new accusation and charge that's been levied against Russell Brand. Who brought the claim? Where will it be held? And what is the response? And should you just assume that charges these days have to do with political retaliation? Have we lost not only the consent of the governed has lost the consent of the people, but we have so lost our reverence for any established institution. We don't trust anybody about anything anymore. You want to talk about an era to get jury nullification? One person says, I'm going to listen with an open mind, because that's all you can say, because that should be the truth of it all. And if what is brought before you is something that you go, I couldn't throw somebody in a cage for a long time because of this, you get to nullify the jury right there. You get to participate and change the system. But we've seen lawfare on Marine Le Pen, Bolsonaro, on Trump. Is Russell Brand the latest one? Eric Adams in New York. I mean, go down the laundry list. Blagojevich. Go down the laundry list. I don't have enough time to unpack all the politicians who've been busted and accused of things. Probably a lot of them they did, and probably a lot of them they didn't do. But the issue of lawfare will be at play. We will discuss that. We're also going to discuss a report that I got from Luke Rudkowski. I have interviewed him on the New American Media. We were at the Politicon convention. No, it was the United We Stand Festival in Los Angeles. Talked with him and Ben Swan and Sean Stone, a whole bunch of people actually that day. Rosa Corey, who wrote the book on Agenda 21. I believe rest in peace. I believe she passed. If not, I apologize, but I think I haven't talked. Okay, it's been a while there, but I do run into Luke at various events, and I did reach out to him to see if he had anything he would like to unpack on today's show. No, I did not book him, but I did send him the message because we are going to talk about the report that he just put out regarding military movements in Europe, with the United States, with Iran. What the heck is happening? What should we be prepared for? Let me tell you, a storm is brewing. This is where I should do an ad read for some coffee company, because I do like to sip on coffee in the morning. However, I don't have a sponsor for coffee yet. I'll take one. Man, I'll smash some coffee sponsorships. I should send that out. I should make that happen. There's a storm brewing. No, not the coffee grounds that are brewing this delicious cup of coffee. I'm talking about the winds of change. I'm talking about a world war upon us. And there has been a storm brewing where I am located for the past several days, to the point where it's basement time. It's bunker hunkered down. How quick can you have what you need and bounce? How quick? Out of all the things and all, like, how quickly can you just make it happen? It's a life lesson you should practice a couple times a year. Just see if you have all of your stuff exactly the way it was. Now, I had a device fail with a battery that had leaked, and then a device failure, and it set off a series of, well, when my vehicle, my Chevy Blazer, they said, well, the thermostat broke, and that set off a series of catastrophic failures. That's how they described it. And then it led to the cracked engine block, and it's like, all right, this thing, doggone it. It's gone. But yeah, this one set off a chain reaction of trying to clean, trying to fix, trying to replace, couldn't quite get, and it was just all too much and too fast. And it took up a big chunk of time that was supposed to be dedicated to other things, and it just set the whole timeline off. So if you really did have that limited an amount of time, what's the plan? Are you ready to rock and roll? Do you have it under control? So that's something we need to pay attention to in this world is do you have a go bag? Do you have your digital documents? Do you have some sort of solar powered charger? Do you have some sort of a map? Do you have some, like, just whatever your important, the most important things to you? How quick can you put it in a backpack and take off? If you got to leave the whole world behind, how quick can you put your life into a backpack and go in that direction? So I want everyone to be prepared, and especially watching what's going on with this Luke Rudkowski report. And also, let me just say this. It's not the Luke Rudkowski report. We've been passing stories of similar large shipments of lots of things. You've heard all of these reports of gold, massive gold flux back into the United States. You've heard, of course, the weapons back and forth. It's always about whether it's Fast and Furious on the American southern border with Obama and Eric Holder, whether it's Iran-Contra, whether it's Israel, Ukraine, and the stuff that's ending up being sold on the black market on top of what Biden left behind so that Afghanistan could get that and sell that to God knows who for God knows what purpose, at the same time that a foreign invading army of up to 30 million military-aged men have pre-positioned themselves across the United States of America, waiting to attack, potentially. I don't know if that's the case, but I know if I were a bad guy, that's what I would do. And that's sure as hell what it looked like and felt like for the past several years, isn't it? So how prepared are you? It's a question you need to ask yourself. It's a question we should all discuss from time to time. We do have a private group on Facebook, TNAM Preparedness, Preparedness, Preparedness. It is crazy times, David. No, we're not going to abandon ship. Stop it, Kenneth. We're not going to abandon ship. There's no black pills allowed on this MFer. All right. But there is a storm brewing outside. Very loudly. So let me jump into the news, because who knows how long it's going to take for a tree limb to drop your power. And if that happens, do you have a battery backup? Do you have a solar charger? What is your plan in place for your sump pump to run your refrigerator? What is your plan if things go haywire for a little bit? What if the market goes to shit? What if something happens to the stock market? What if something happens to the power grid? How long can you be okay as you? That's the question. How long? As this storm rumbles through the neighborhood. Let's jump into the programming. You can get a sneak peek of these stories if you follow the New American Media on Instagram. And then what we do is we will unpack and show more of these stories during the TNAM AM Show and the Agree to Disagree Show. So this one was from a Turning Point USA event, our Prove Me Wrong event, the Officer Tatum at UC Davis. Let's take a look at the party of peaceful coexistence. Coexist. Hey, Ma, look, the coexist people are burning shit down again. Hey, look. Here we go. Play.
Hey, Jackson, slow down. Get back! Come on, please, get in there. Get in there. Oh, doggone it. You know what's going to happen?
Oh, doggone it. They're going to try to flag this because of the music playing in the background. And that's one of the tricks that the protesters use. They know that you're not going to be able to share the media, or at least initially. They're going to put up an automatic flag. It'll get caught by the music copyright people. And they're going to say, nope, you played a minute of this video and it had this music in it. You can't share copyrighted written work. And I'll say, no, This is a historical moment in time, and we're listening to all of the raw audio, which happens to include music, so that it could be censored by people like you. But however, it's covered under the fair use exemption for media, because I'm going to make an original commentary after showing you the original source video so that you can make up your own opinion before someone tells you what to think. This is the crazy level of stupid shit that I have dealt with for 14 years with YouTube. It is why we are on Rumble. Please follow the New American Media on Rumble. Where's our page? Let me show you our page, just so you can see it. I know you know it exists, but let me just show you where I need you all to get an account and go over. Let's go full screen. There it is, everybody. This will show you all of our shows, the New American Media, the upside down flag, showing that we are a nation in distress. And it puts all of our videos here. I mean, pages and pages and pages of interviews and shows. Please link up with us on Rumble. We do not like YouTube. We don't trust YouTube. They are not honest business partners. They censor your videos. They demonetize your videos. Rumble, we've been monetized. Now it's only, look, we've been doing this for 14 years. Our audience after 14 years on YouTube is substantive. So we're pulling numbers and making ad revenue with far fewer people on Rumble. So we're trying to get our YouTube audience over to Rumble. Yeah, the music police. Anyway, let me switch back to the other story. But yeah, it's an anti-fascism group that are acting fascist, of course, known for acts of domestic terrorism across the country spanning back decades. Remember, it was Obama, Biden, Harris, Mayorkas that were saying we were the domestic threats to America. And police just allow it to happen. So, be careful on what you think is going to happen when people are going to protect you when they don't. And then be careful what's going to happen when you defend yourself like you have a right to, which some people are going to target, like Kyle Rittenhouse. I mean, the most obvious case of self-defense you've ever seen, getting attacked multiple times, defending himself like John Wick. But these malicious self-defense prosecutions are just, it's antithetical to our founding documents. It's abhorrent. But then the person that shoots Ashley Babbitt never has to kind of go through the same thing, and let's examine it from every angle, and what were you taught, and when how were you trained, and is this proper protocol, and what immediate threat did this little woman pose to you in that moment right there? Was that a necessary shoot? Was that an excessive force? Sometimes we talk about stories when it involves people of a different race, and other times we sweep it under the rug because the races are reversed or because the races are irrelevant. I try to just gauge the cases on the situation. I didn't care what color people were in the Kyle Rittenhouse case. If Kyle Rittenhouse was a black man and he shot Asians and Latinos, I wouldn't have a different opinion of how he handled himself in that situation. And I don't want the OJ effect to cloud our judgment of stories when they're one way, but they can't be painted the opposite way. No, I'm Team OJ. No, I'm Team Nicole. That's the trick, and that's you got to be wary of the race hucksters that are going to keep pushing the division through race. But you got to be really weirded out by the people that are not going to talk about the young man, the twin, who died in his twin brother's arms, stabbed in the heart yesterday, 2 days ago, at a track meet. For years, every story, it seems like, that has two people of a different race, when it can be pinned the tail on the white guy, the media and the Democrats nonstop go on these never-ending racist anti-white tirades, and it's nauseating. Yeah, well, it's nauseating what happened to those young black men. Yeah, not everything that happens, not every bad thing that happens has anything to do with the color of your skin. But the race hucksters, they will find an angle every single time. Now, I have suspicions on this story. I have hunches. I am very interested in learning the details. I haven't formed a full opinion. In fact, I'm a little confused as to which track guy told who to move under which tent. Kind of like the tent they stole here at the Turning Point USA event. The pro-fascist group, going by the name of anti-fascist, they can't allow speech of someone who sounds different or has different opinions. That's called political terrorism. You're taking away our First Amendment rights. No, you don't have the fucking right to stand there with a bullhorn and scream in somebody's ear. That's abuse. Abusing someone's eardrums is abuse. That is a crime. You have assaulted that person. That person has a modest understanding that they can use self-defense to stop the injurious behavior of screaming in their ear that could lead to permanent hearing loss. You don't have that right. And if conservatives or MAGA members didn't want to buy Bud Light because they didn't appreciate what was going on with their marketing campaigns, they stopped purchasing the product. They didn't start attacking people out at a restaurant, flipping their tables over if they had a Bud Light on them, going to Kroger and emptying the shelves and smashing bottles. That's mafia tactics. That's ridiculous. That's not how you handle yourself in a grown-up society. You talk, and you talk it out. You use your words. That's not what the leftists are doing. Oh, no, 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 no. Yeah, Kenneth, they race to conclusions. Wah, wah. So you're David saying he'd Rumble never runs smoothly, watching videos for you anyway, but you would rather use Rumble. Yeah, I've left comments on like Adam Carolla, some of the others, but like Scott Adams and Steven Crowder, their show is on Rumble, and I'd never watch. I don't want to give any ad revenue to YouTube anymore. I want to be completely disassociated with them. I put our archive on Odyssey, so between our Odyssey account and our new Rumble account, everything that we've done should be up there, minus what YouTube deemed so offensive they had to completely delete. And I forget how many are on that list, honestly. But we're supposed to be able to have adult conversations in this country. No, you're not allowed to punch somebody in the face if you disagree with it. That's not how this works. Yeah, Rumble does have the interrupting commercials, but don't think of them as commercials. Think of them as 90 seconds where you could toss a penny into the TNAM wishing well and then go brush your teeth or go get the mail, maybe fix yourself some eggs, and you let some advertisement play in the background. It's a chance to stretch out, go feed the cats, make a pot of coffee, and in the process, for free, you toss a penny into the wishing well. I know, I skipped it. I just wish people could figure out I can handle a 10 or 15 second video. I can handle a quick advertisement. Hey, everybody, Thanksgiving's coming up. If you haven't stocked up on all of your food needs, make sure you come on down to Kroger. Kroger, here for you. Also available online for delivery. Just hit our app. Download our app. Bam. If I could listen to a 15, and by the way, no, Kroger has not. I think they're a woke company. I don't think they would advertise with me. Or maybe they would. Maybe they're an awesome company. I think Pringles' original intention was to make tennis balls. But on the day the rubber was supposed to show up, they screwed up and sent a truckload of potatoes. Pringles, being a laid-back company, said, forget it. Let's cut them up. And that's how you got Pringles. No, so maybe they are a cool company. Who knows? But I can listen to a 15-second advertisement. I do not want to sit through a 3-minute, it's like a pitch for a timeshare. It's like sitting in an office trying to negotiate a better interest rate on your vehicle loan at a used car dealership. You're like, I can't do this. Like when they give you those 20-minute videos, you're going, oh, I get it. You will allow us to get advertisements. just not the ones anyone will sit through, which generate revenue for the content creator. Okay, so that's why I get a 6-minute opportunity for an ad. Patriot Power Supply. Blup, 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 blup. Hey, cool. Not a sponsor yet. I'll take them. They do products I like. But I'm not going to get like the 3-minute version or the 6-minute version or the 20-minute infomercial. And not them, just whatever company. I feel like the other side get the 10-second commercials. They're like, you are kind of hungry this morning. Go get a bowl of Honey Nut Cheerios. Wait, what? You're out of Honey Nut Cheerios. Go get Honey Nut Cheerios on the way home from work. Beep, beep. Voice memo. 10-second ad. Done. I should actually work in marketing. How do you do that? I should be like one of those Mad Men people. But I think in terms of commercials. And it's like, what would you guys tolerate? You guys could tolerate commercial breaks if they're 10 seconds and you're right back into the action. And it's like you didn't even have time to get annoyed. They hit you with a 10 to 12 second, call it 15, right to the point, moving on. So there we go. Anyway, follow us on Rumble. Let's get to our next story. Joey Manarino here is reminding us, the same people who think tariffs are bad for the country think that Joe Biden was good for the country. Pardon me if I don't give a singular F about their opinions. Thank you. Please feel free to grab these off of our Instagram and share these. I try to find the best ideas and, the right way to pick these stories and hopefully bring you better ways to give you a bumper sticker reply. Someone's like, oh, tariffs are so bad. It's like, you told me for 4 years Joe Biden was good. I think you need to sit this one out and let the adults handle things for a little bit. And it might take a few days or a few weeks or maybe even a year or two to unwind some of the damage caused. So yeah, sit down until you win an election. That is as polite, honest, factual as you can say. You were telling me Joe Biden was good for this. You're going to need to sit this one out. And wokeness says when it doesn't fit the narrative. The AP, 2 different stories. One of them, it says, the white man who pleaded guilty. Are there more to this? All right. The white man who pleaded guilty to shooting a black teen who rang a wrong doorbell dies. Compared to this story, police say a 17-year-old was fatally stabbed by another student at a Texas track meet. So when it fits the narrative that the Democrats push all day long, year after year, decade after decade, when the shoe's on the other foot, they go out of their way to not do it that way. It's almost as if they're manipulating your brain into selective rage. And maybe that's why you should disconnect from the old American media. You got to understand what they're doing to you and why they're doing it. Here is our representative. Good luck pronouncing the name.
The definition.
You have a lefty on CNN who's really disheartened that illegal aliens are being removed from America. And there's a conversation here.
Of gaslighting, because what we're saying is all 5 of us on this set tonight can look you in the eye and say that if you committed any of those crimes, then you should be deported immediately. You should serve your sentence and go home immediately.
Yes, but they were let in. That's the bottom line. You're more concerned about the one guy that was deported than the millions of people that were let in illegally that went on to wreak havoc in cities like Maui.
First of all, I would the definition of gaslighting, because
there you go. More concerned about one particular case instead of the millions of detrimental cases. Here, let's put up the countervailing views because they treat us like children on YouTube, which is why you need to follow us on Rumble. Get a Rumble account. Try to follow us on Rumble. You can watch us live. You can do super chats live on Rumble. Although I don't know if your comments make it into this screen. That is the one thing. So that would be a downside to Rumble. I will give you that. So let's go to countervailing views. Go to the CDC and WHO websites for countervailing views on health and elections, and cisa.gov/rumor control. Now here's comedian and podcaster Dave Smith and political influencer talking with Joe Rogan about Bobby Kennedy overhauling this entire sick care system.
It's crazy that Bobby Kennedy is overhauling this whole thing and cutting all this. And you're like, okay. We spend more on health than any other nation in the world by far.
And we're
the sickest.
They're seeing pancreatic cancer in kids, little kids, which is just unheard of.
And I had a buddy recently die of pancreatic cancer. You know? It happens, and it happens fast. Is this a new phenomenon? Why? Why is this happening?
He was saying that in all of his career, he had never seen pancreatic cancer in a child before.
Right.
And now they're seeing it.
Well, they used to call type 2 diabetes adult onset diabetes.
Right.
Because it was like, the kids don't get it. It was like unheard of.
Right.
And now it's like all over the place.
Yeah.
You're telling me there shouldn't, and your position here, it just like exposes that the entire media, it's like your position here is to get in between the regime and any threat to the regime.
Well, it's also radical change, and radical change causes controversy, and controversy is what they sell.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the media is going to sell that, and they're going to sell it on the angle of this is creating all sorts of problems, all sorts of people are losing their jobs, budgets are getting cut, people are getting fired, they're out on the street.
You could also get huge ratings by covering the controversy that is we spend more money and have the worst outcomes.
Can't do it. Because
we spend more money and have the worst outcomes. That's education, that's healthcare, it's everything.
you get too much money from the pharmaceutical
that's right.
companies,
But that's
which
the point.
is also
Right.
Callie Means pointed that out.
Right. And I mean, look, if the media was just driven by ratings, they'd be doing shows on Jeffrey Epstein every day.
Every day.
I mean, because you'd be the number one.
Why is this not the number one show on TV? Every day a new case, a deep dive. Where is this?
One show in cable news.
Exactly.
It's crazy that Bobby Kennedy.
Yeah, so I'm waiting for that too. Here is the fencer who took a knee and said, I'm not going to compete against a dude. This is the energy we need everywhere in America, people. Ladies, you were segregated into your own sports for a very clear reason. By the way, check out the Unhappy Hour sports show. We live on our Facebook group. We occasionally do live videos, and we'll be back doing some more regular content kind of soonish, I think. So keep your eyes peeled. But yeah, we are following this story, and this is the path forward. Never think that you have to compete against a man. We've segregated the sexes for a very clear reason. If your chromosomes include a Y in sports, you must compete with guys. You are built different. You are different. You cannot change. And you should be protected to only compete against your kind. If any of you ever decide, I will throw caution to the wind, I am the one exception. I am one of the very few rare exceptions that can compete at the highest level against men at the highest level. Come on over, sign the waiver, though. You have to unambiguously on video say, I understand that we've segregated the sexes for good reason. Frankly, we don't want to see the fairer sex getting their asses kicked. We don't want to see any violent acts that make our stomachs queasy, because we don't want to see anything bad happen to ladies. That should be the mentality we take. But for how long? The past 15 years? Since Obama? Since when did this push to let men beat up on women in the MMA begin? Smashing volleyball spikes into your face, causing permanent brain damage. The boxing match in the Olympics. People say that person had, that person wasn't qualified to be in a competition with ladies. I think what was that story? That was maybe chromosomes and intersex or testicles that didn't drop, and maybe hermaphroditic presentation or something. But either way, if your DNA, if your genetic makeup, your chromosomes include a Y, in sports you must compete with guys. I mean, That lady took a couple punches. What was she, from Italy or something? And she dropped down and dropped out. She's like, oh my gosh, I've never been hit that hard before. Stop. Why are we allowing this? This is not okay. Now, maybe I should do this for a comedy skit, for a routine next week. Because this is in the news, a female fencer. I was in an intramural fencing class. Okay, I'm gonna have to write this down, but for now, let's listen to the young woman, Stephanie Turner, the hero, who said, "I'm not doing this." Let's check this report out. Let me full screen this. Comments. Full screen. There we go. By the way, everybody, hit like, hit subscribe, however you're watching today, especially if anyone is seeing this on D Live. It says I'm streaming, but it also says I'm not streaming. It's Schrodinger's stream. All right. So here we go. Learn this story. This is so crucial.
Initially, I told them that I was refusing defense because this person is a man and I am a woman, and this is a women's tournament, and I refuse defense on principle.
And then later, right after this, we see your opponent comes over. What did you say to your opponent at that point?
My opponent was a little bit confused, thinking that I was maybe hurt. And I said, no, I am refusing defense to you because I'm a woman and you are a man. I have much love and respect for you, but I will not compete against you.
Wow.
And he responded, okay, well, there's a, yes.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm sorry, what was his response?
His response was, okay, but there's a member of the board of directors here, and he supports me, and there's a policy that says that I'm a woman and I'm allowed to compete in the women's tournament, and if you do this, you're going to get black carded. And I said, I know. Initially, I told them that I was
beginning again.
Refusing defense because this person is a man, and I.
Yep, that is the beginning of the segment again. That's how you handle these situations, people. That's how you handle this. You take a knee, you drop out, you go, no, we're not playing this game. I'm not doing this. No, thank you. All right, let's switch the... There we go. Change our captions. Yeah, there's a good reminder. Make sure you watch our documentary, Hurricane Helene, Help on the Way, on Rumble and YouTube. Please like it, comment on it, and share it if you would be so kind. Put the places back where you can follow the New American Media. Okay, DC Drano saying, I regret to inform you that a 21-year-old student at University of South Carolina was just killed in a hit-and-run incident with an illegal alien. Nate Baker died Wednesday after being hit by Rosalie Fernandez Cruz, who left the scene after the crash. The worst part, this illegal alien was already wanted by ICE. Biden's open border policy just killed another innocent Americans. Say his name, Nate Baker. Doggone it. Another football player. As someone wanted by Immigration's Customs Enforcement and had no right being here. And this guy snuffed out for what? Should have never happened. You have to start holding these Democrats accountable. Make them complicit in this reckless endangerment.
There's an
here's Megyn Kelly talking about the stabbing, the football player.
Element to this that must be mentioned, and that is that the assailant was black and the victim was white. One thing that's very obvious to all of us is if the races were reversed, you wouldn't just be hearing about this on this show and a handful of others. It would be blanketing the national airwaves coast to coast. But it's not, because honestly, white boys' lives don't matter. Your thoughts, Michael?
The fact that you even have to walk on eggshells to state this obvious fact about the case shows you, in no small part, how we got to this place in the first place. It's just a horrible story. What amazing grace from this boy's father, who says, I already forgive him, which is to say, vengeance is mine, says the Lord, and I will repay. Their foot shall slide in due time. That is not to say that the boy should not be arrested, prosecuted, imprisoned for life at least, if not more. And, the very fact that that has not happened is part of how we got here in the first place. This question, how was this boy raised? Well, you're not allowed to ask that question. When specifically from the racial angle, which the establishment media will not speak about. They probably won't speak about the case because of the races of the perpetrator, the alleged perpetrator and the victim. One has said that we cannot ask how we got to a place where 70% plus of black children in the United States are born out of wedlock. We're not allowed to ask that. That's politically incorrect. It's none of your business. Well, it is my business because I live in society and there are obviously downstream effects. I don't know the particulars of this guy's family situation. Maybe he just he went totally off the handle. Maybe he had some mental health crisis, or
maybe he had a mental health crisis, or maybe he's been indoctrinated by race baiters to make him think that people that don't look like him are monsters. And that what you're watching with Antifa tearing down Officer Tatum's thing for Turning Point USA, I believe is at UC Davis that we showed earlier today. That if somebody else continues to maintain a position that's not exactly the same thing that you are championing at this very moment, you get to harm them and steal from them or kill them. Houston, we have a problem. We have a big problem. Because the abusive effects of this type of brain damage caused by the deep state Democrats constantly pushing rage bait, hate, and division, especially the anti-white, anti-straight, anti-Christian, anti-male bias that's been occurring for a very long time, that was finally stamped out with DEI affirmative action, saying, no, you're not going to prioritize or penalize somebody based on the amount of melanin in their skin, or where their parents came from, or what their sexual preference is, or which version of a flying spaghetti monster they decide to worship. You shouldn't get more rights. You shouldn't get fewer rights. You should just exist and move along. That's the utopia we've been dreaming of for the longest time. But sadly, unfortunately, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, Barack Obama, these people have pushed as much poison as possible to exploit a racial animus for monetary gain and political power. There is not a city they've seen they wouldn't be willing to set on fire. And it's a damn shame, because we're supposed to talk shit out in America. We're supposed to be able to have conversations here. But it's pure power and control. And we are bankrupt, people. Like, it's not like there's money that we could be giving around to all these organizations and keep things going. 36 trillion in debt. That's a number that doesn't even make sense. That's our number. Everything non-essential needs to be stripped bare. Unplug it all and only plug in the things that matter. And then deal with every one of the other things in a minute. This is what the Tea Party has been about. This is what the conservative movement has. Man, oh man, have things gotten off track since 9/11. Across the board. Civil liberties. And yeah, it might be a little chaotic to put some of this back together, but we have to be able to have conversations in this country. And the people that are telling you it's okay to carve up a car, what do they say in Pulp Fiction? It would have been worth them doing it just to catch them doing it. Come on. Use your words. If you think you got a great idea, talk about it. If the idea isn't that good, you got to be willing to accept you're not in charge. Sit down. And you don't get to lash out and punch a reporter in the face if you don't like what they're saying. You get to walk away. There's another video coming up about that. No, over a disagreement of you can sit here, you can't sit here. Well, number one, you figure it out. Number two, or you just go and it's not important, or you made a mistake and you were in the wrong spot, or damn it, you were in the right spot. And who were they to come in here and tell me that I got a blah, blah, blah? Okay, you can hold that point of view without stabbing somebody in the chest. So This story should be in more places. It's a sports story. It's a twin story. It's a human interest story. There's also a racial component that may or may not be relevant. I don't know that it is. I don't claim that it is. But I do know what MSNBC and CNN have done seemingly every time you could pin some fault with a black victim on a white dude. But I do know that white dude, Kelly Thomas, was beaten to death. Was it by Ramos and Campione in Fullerton, California? On camera, you could hear him whimpering as they just bludgeoned him into the ground. And they got off. So sometimes it's not really a racial thing. It's a power thing, isn't it? But that's what's happening. It's also what's happening to Russell Brand now. Is that a real charge? Or are these trumped up Trump charges? Or are these fake charges like Bolsonaro, like Eric Adams, like Georgescu, like Marine Le Pen? Anyone who's a populist trying to save their country from being invaded right now is being taken out with lawfare attempts, being threatened or doxxed, or what happened at InfoWars. And I'll show you the video of the reporter getting punched in the face coming up here. There is a portion of society that is being manipulated into violence right now by the Democrats, by the lying legacy media, by the deep state. I don't like it any more than you do. But we need to be aware that it's out there and we need to be able to talk about it. Michael Knowles continues here.
Or something. We're not allowed to talk about these things either. We have to now elevate insanity as some kind of social currency.
There's an element to this that must.
So you got that going on, these conversations being had. All right, here's President Trump discussing tariffs. This is a big topic of consideration. Here we go.
Those tariffs have come in and every country's called us. That's the beauty of what we do. We put ourselves in the driver's seat. If we would have asked some of these countries, almost most of these countries, to do us a favor, they would have said no. Now they'll do anything for us. But we have tariffs, they've been set, and it's going to make our country very rich.
But are you open to deals with these countries if they're calling you?
Well, it depends. If somebody said that we're going to give you something that's so phenomenal, as long as they're giving us something that's good. For instance, with TikTok as an example, we have a situation with TikTok where China will probably say, we'll approve a deal, but will you do something on the tariff? The tariffs give us great power to negotiate. Always have. I've used them very well in the first administration, as you saw, but now we're taking it to a whole new level because it's a worldwide situation. And those...
And isn't it great to hear from the person who's running the government every day, multiple press conferences? Here's what's going on. Here's what we're doing. You can dislike it, or you might be rude to someone or make a joke. But at least you're hearing from them. And that is so different than the way things have been for so long. Yeah, so David, so many people fall for the division crap because there's a lot of jealous people. A lot of people jealous they can't purchase a Tesla. Jealous people that don't have anything, they don't mind finding a bad guy, finding an enemy. So, oh, there's somebody successful. Let's go get them. I mean, isn't this the classic age-old story of communism, socialism, Marxism, Leninism? You know, I mean, a lot of these isms are very overlapping. They're the politics of greed. They're the politics of division. It's what's happening in South Africa right now. It's a tale as old as time. A lot of people do fall for it. But President Trump right there saying, hey, every country is calling to sort this out. So now the United States is at the center of the universe with tariffs. We're calling out what's happening. We're saying we're not going to keep engaging in one-sided economic behavior. If you want that, so be it. But starting on this date, if you continue to have that, we are going to slap a retaliatory tariff. Try to say that a few times fast. Retaliatory tariff. And so what happens? More times than not, you're going to see them say, no, don't do that. No. We make a lot of money exporting our stuff to you guys. And you're like, yeah, that's the point. So stop with the games. You're not going to make our products unsellable on your shelves if you're going to get rich selling your stuff on mine. That's it. That's not happening. Okay. Well, we don't want to lose your business. All right, then. That's what I thought. That's opening up American products to expand exponentially. It takes away the incentive to be nationalistic, jingoistic. How do you want to phrase it? It's the way it should have been. And yeah, some of these tariffs are going to take longer to figure out. And yeah, you're going to see some public spats in the media. And no, you don't want to be too damn heavy-handed with it, but why is it okay for them to have a tariff if you're saying it's not okay for us to? I don't get that logic at all. I am willing to hear your best opinions on that. Why is it okay if another country is tariffing American goods, but you're going to yell at MAGA and Trump and me and you will get yelled at saying it's not okay to tariff? Well, look, they cannot both be true. If it's not okay for us to tariff, then it's not okay for them to tariff. So why don't you start by telling them to take off the tariff? And then since we don't have one on, we'll both not have something that's bad. And then we'll be on even playing field, right? So start with them. But they're not saying that because all they're doing is trying to turn every molehill into a mountain to try to make Trump bad, orange man bad. Look at the stocks, look at the stocks. Here are the stocks. In the past year, the stock market is up 1.19%. Oh yeah, it had a dip there right at the election. Look at that. People got nervous. And then it spiked up with enthusiasm. A cool off, a spike, and then a drop once Trump got in about there. And then it's been to the moon since. Look at that. Trump gets in on January 6th. 42. And look at all that growth because of it. And then what happened? The media took control. Everyone's freaking out. Going down a cliff. This might be a good time to buy, by the way. This might be a great time to buy. It might be, but you'll never know because I'm never going to convince you to purchase anything. I don't have a silver or gold dealer. I don't have a Dow Jones dealer. Like I'm not selling. By the way, for everybody out there, how do you have your investments? Like, what do you have as people are really paying attention to the stock market right now? And I just mean like maybe, of course, generically, I don't care anyone's, but like people say that most of our wealth is tied up in our household, in our home, or, something like that. And then other people say, well, it's not really, it just kind of depends. And plus this whole generation doesn't really they're not in the market like other generations are. But yeah, there's stock market, there's crypto, there's real estate. I guess there's your home that you live in. And then there's another category of real estate, non-occupied. That could be residual income, trying to become a landlord and collect those monthly dues, which part of me wishes I was doing. I could be doing that. But I just, once again, I couldn't trust doing business with California. I lived through the COVID stuff, and they kept making it harder and harder for a landlord to get rid of a tenant if they decided they weren't going to make their monthly payment. It's like, I got to pay that monthly payment to the person that's expecting it from me. If I can't get them out to clean the place up and put someone else in, I can't do business with you. So I had to bounce from Los Angeles. It was, it was as expected. It's just like, And it's fine. I'm in, in many ways happier now where I am, and it's more how I'm wired. Still, there was something about that place, but yeah. I had a friend, two friends reach out, kind of concerned about the tariffs and, oh, the stock market, the stock market. Kind of saying he has some dinar. I know, I've been told to get some dinar. What caused you to get some dinar? I had very direct advice from somebody. Anyway, all right. So look, if you want to have a little bit of perspective here, and sometimes it's important, in the past year from April 4 to April 4, it's the same stock market. It's up 280 points. So there's your perspective. You want to know how it is in the past 5 years? It's up 84% in the last 5 years. Past month, all right, do you just want to focus on this big, scary red number? See, Trump's so dangerous. See, Trump's so bad. See, we should have never elected Trump. Everything has to be anti-Trump all the time, 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 all the time. That's what they're doing, is ratcheting up your fear and your tension, and you're vibrating at a level of anger and rage so you can be manipulated into doing the deep state Democrat dirty work. Don't do it. Don't do it. So yeah, they'll say in the past month, look at how off a cliff. What a great time to buy, actually. I mean, it went down $2,000. I mean, if I were in the market where I would be buying, I would look at that and say, maybe. Past 5 days, very similar. In the past 6 months, look, that's before the election to now. I mean, down 8%. I don't know. I have some in the stock market. I've pulled some out to go into real estate. I've done. I have a couple of things, not a ton. I don't really trust the stock market, and it's been a pretty reliable bet over the past many decades. Far be it from me to say contradictory, which is why I don't give any investment advice. All right, here is an update. A Minnesota police chief. Hey, Kenneth, what's going on up here? Take a listen. Says a woman who keyed a Tesla. What's going to happen?
Bloomington Chief Hodges here. Showed you this video last week of this person scratching his Tesla. And like SpongeBob said here, 1 day later, thanks to everybody's help, we were able to identify them. The suspect here is a woman in their late 20s. They turned themselves in. They were brought in with their family. They've been fully cooperative. The victim in this case just wanted their car fixed, and they just wanted the suspect to pay for that. Based on the totality of the circumstances here, and along with our core value of being compassionate, this is the best outcome for everybody involved in this case.
What is the...
But let me be clear here.
That's no, that's not. They should still be charged, and they should be given a maximum sentence, suspended, provided that they keep their nose clean for the next 30 years. Because if they do this shit again, no. Hold on. I'm going to type this out. No. You give a maximum sentence, suspended, and make sure this person keep their nose clean for the next 30 years. That is how you handle this in case the criminal, strikes a second time.
In Bloomington, you probably have never heard me utter these words. The suspect in this case may have been a victim. And I mean victim in terms of the...
Wow, the suspect might be the victim.
Rhetoric. Bloomington Chief Hodges here.
Well, and in terms of the rhetoric, okay, this is all right. I'm not going to judge this guy harshly, basically, like, how dare you? He's saying exactly what I was saying. The people who are suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, this is a medical condition. You've been manipulated by the deep state. Operation Mockingbird. Do we need to pull up a list of all of the deep state tactics and crazy things that have been done to manipulate people? You've consumed poison. They have poisoned you. We legitimately have empathy for you because you've been victimized by people who are pretending to deliver you unbiased information. And all they're delivering you is a daily dose of venom. It's Munchausen. Was it Munchausen by proxy? The one where they slowly poison the other person? And then they get to take care of you and they get to play the hero, but they're the ones causing the problem while they rock back and forth. All right, let's hear him out here. The person who keyed the Tesla, first time he's ever said this, might be the victim. Why does he say?
I showed you this video last week of this person scratching his Tesla. And like SpongeBob said here, thanks to everybody's help that is being spewed out here.
Because of all of the vitriol that's being spewed out here.
By some of those in leadership. We need our leaders.
Oh, so he's calling out public officials who are throwing gasoline on this. You get in their faces at the gasoline station. Kamala Harris contributing to the Minnesota Freedom Fund, the one that takes tens of thousands of dollars and bails out the violent rioters burning their city down. Sounds like an occupying force in invasion, in army invasion.
To start leading and stop feeding this rhetoric. People should be able to drive whatever car they want without fear of going into a store and someone scratching their car or people yelling at them because of the car that they choose to drive. It's time for all of us, just to start getting along and knock this stuff off, man. People should be able to be left alone. But rest assured, if you damage these cars or target people, we are going to arrest you. We are going to prosecute you to the fullest extent that we're able to. But in this case, I'm going to go back to, based on the totality of everything with it and our core value of being compassionate, that is.
All right, so that's what he's doing.
And ultimately, what the victim in this case wanted, because the victim in this case is.
Yeah, the victim's saying that they want it because if they actually prosecute you, are they going to be put on a list and they're going to get targeted again because you're domestic terrorists? I don't know about that. I don't know if you can trust that person to make a sound decision acting out of fear. I get it. I can understand it on a coin flip. I see both sides.
The most important. This is the best outcome. The victim has already been made whole in terms of being paid. And the suspect in this case, we're going to hold those charges over their head just to ensure that they don't do anything similar to this.
What do you mean hold those charges over your head? Please elaborate on holding those charges over the person's head. Why not take a guilty plea deal with max sentence and suspend incarceration to make sure they don't commit any more crimes. I had a lot to say. Crimes in the next 30 years. So anyway, what an interesting story.
In the near future. So with that, Bloomington, we will see you back here later on this week, where I'm going to talk about some of the property damage to vehicles that's taking place on the east side of Bloomington. See you back.
All right. I have mixed thoughts on this story. In the fact that that is what the other person requested. I mean, you can take that into consideration. James Dunn here is saying, I thought we learned in COVID that you shouldn't get your numbers reporting from the media. The stock market is fine. And there it goes. It shows you over the past 5 years, you're up 94%. It's dropped off more today, but you know, perspective is important. David Sachs here says, we knew that the U.S. government runs a $2 trillion deficit every year. We're in debt almost $40 trillion, and every time someone tries to cut something in Washington, the whole city screams bloody murder. The question is why? Now we know. Everyone was getting paid. David Sachs. Here's the father of Austin Metcalf, the murdered 4.0 football player.
As a parent of a 14-year-old boy and an older man who's now making his own way in the world, I just can't imagine how you're facing the rest of your life without your son. I wanted to ask you this question. I know, 17 years old, amazing. And he was an amazing kid, too. We'll get you to speak about him in just a moment. But I think a lot of people at home are saying, wait a second, how does this happen? He goes to a track meet.
Yeah, I'm still a little unclear who sat where, who told who did what, who moved a backpack. But they're saying Austin was a 4.0 student and the MVP of his school's football team. He was getting recruited for college. Doggone it, man. Just when seeming that, now that doesn't make that person a good person. It shows they're very accomplished, very talented. America needs more talented people. On that regard, that's sad. That's a net loss to society.
On Wednesday and is murdered. What happened?
I wish I had all the answers. The answer is my son is gone and he'll never come home again. I want to clarify something right off the start because
well, he didn't describe it in a way that would paint his kid in the best light there. So that's interesting. I don't know. I'm learning about it in real time.
I've already heard some rumors and gossip. This was not a race thing. And this is not a political thing. Please do not comment if you do not know what happened. Do not turn this into a racial thing. It was not. Do not politicize this. It's not.
Well, I with all due respect, you're too close to the situation to see it for what it is. And the fact that the Democrats have been poisoning black youth in this country for decades, being taught in schools the evils of white people, colonialism, Americans, and then how that ramped up into a stratospheric level never seen before with Barack Obama. The weaponization of the federal agencies against Americans, against Catholics, Christians, men, straight men, Christianity, the COVID overreach. And of course, I can include the Biden administration with the same puppet masters there that we saw during the 8 years of Obama's first two terms. You could say his shadow term of Trump's first term was his third. I'll just call his Biden puppet term his third term. And things got really wonky after that. You know, I know that Obama had nothing to do with Rodney King. I'm aware of that. And that sort of worked its way out, you know? That sort of worked its way out. And then everything got ramped up into a weird space. So I'm just saying to this guy, we don't know what voices were in this kid's head, poisoning this kid to hate people that don't look like him. It's almost an assumption of racism with the caveat, nobody knows anything, so let's get the facts. So I'm just saying, I don't know enough yet to develop because I just see two kids at a track meet and one of them stabs the other in the heart and the twin has to try to compress and can't stop his twin brother from dying in your arms at a track meet. Over what? Over sitting somewhere. Like, just the human component is more important than the racial component. But I'm not ready to jump to no, race had nothing to do with this. I have no idea if it did or didn't.
This is a human being thing. This person made a bad choice, and it affected both his family and my family forever. It's a very unfortunate thing, but I know exactly what was happening. His brother was there who tried to save him, and he died in his arms.
Yeah.
So if you weren't there, please don't spread rumors.
His twin brother Hunter was there, and as we pointed out at the top of this, his twin brother tried to save him, couldn't save him, and Austin died in his arms. He spent the last moments of his life in his brother's arms as he went to meet God. But what did Hunter tell you happened?
Well, the track meet was being delayed. Each individual high schools had like their own little tents to go sit under, and they were sitting under the Memorial High School tent. Mm-hmm. The individual was saying some words, and they turned to him and said, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm Mello." And he said, and he had a Centennial track sweat on. He said, "Hey man, you're in the wrong spot. You need to go sit with your team." Words were then exchanged. I'm not going to get into the exact details. I know what my son told me.
What exact details? What words were exchanged?
Mm-hmm.
But they asked him to move, and when Austin grabbed his backpack to move, take it, he stabbed him in the chest and killed him.
Oh my gosh! You know, we're seeing a picture of Austin on the screen right beside you. That's his
that's his last high school.
Just an incredible.
Yeah, they're having a hard time talking over each other here with the delay.
Incredibly handsome fellow.
You got to make sure that the producer is clear on the segment to just let them know, hey, speak in shorter bursts because it's harder for someone to jump in with their comments, and let it linger a second or two before you start speaking again because the delay is very jarring.
Well, we know that he was college bound. He had a 4.0 grade point average, MVP of his football team. What else do you want the nation to know about him?
He was becoming a great man. He had leadership capabilities, loyalty, compassion, love. He lit up the room everywhere he went. He is loved. Last night there was a vigil, very impromptu vigil at our church, Hope Fellowship. Over 1,700 people plus showed up. The outreach of this community, family, friends, people who don't even know me, has been overwhelming. I rely heavily on my faith to get me.
Yeah, there's a good question. Does this feel intentional and premeditated? What legitimate track student sits in the wrong team's tent with a knife ready to murder someone? I've been in a lot of track meet tents. I used to do shot put and discus. I did a little bit of running back in the day. But I played football and tennis and basketball and everything I could, really. I've never sat somewhere with a knife ready to lunge. So was there premeditation here? Why are you sitting there with a knife? This is a track meet? Why are you ready to use it? What is going on here?
Me through this. Like I said, people ask me, how can you forgive what to this other person? I said, I forgive the other person because the forgiveness is not for him. The forgiveness is for me, so I can have peace. His life is destroyed. My life is destroyed. It's an unfortunate, tragic to affect us for the rest of our lives. I want to get the word out so maybe parents can educate their children to where this doesn't.
Hold on. Educate their children to not stab somebody over nothing. Listen, look, with all due respect to the grieving father. I mean, if someone's missing the lesson that you shouldn't stab somebody over nothing, is that something you really teach? Or is that something that's lacking in the soul of these people, these murderers? Why would somebody, how much of your soul has to be missing to extinguish another human soul because someone told you to not sit in a seat or under a tent or in a spot or on a bleacher, whatever it was exactly, where my first reaction would be, hey, I got an idea. Don't you dare talk to me in a way that I disapprove of. I'm going to end you. How do you teach that? There's something seriously wrong with that there. So I don't know. I'm not trying to be mean to the father. He is too close to this to, try to, he's seemingly adamantly trying to squash things, and I'm going to be in charge of this, and I want to make sure nobody's talking this way, and don't say it's this and this and that. And it's like, I appreciate your perspective. You are so close to this. You are the closest, you and your other son. But for the rest of us, we're looking at this just objectively trying to understand things. So we're going to have to ask some other questions here.
It happened to someone else.
And it's what you saw with that sheriff or that police officer before about the Tesla, saying the person that keyed the Tesla is the victim here. They got all riled up and worked up by idiots online, and they did something stupid and they deeply regret it. I don't want to ruin this person's life. That's the part I was missing there. Well, then what penalty were they given? 30 years, domestic terrorism, guilty with a suspended sentence. We can kick back these charges, turn it right back on. We've let you out under your own reconnaissance because you promised us you're going to be a good little boy or a good little girl. The recidivism rate for domestic terrorists, especially when you bail them out in places like Minnesota, it's not exactly deterring, is it?
Senseless acts of violence in this world have become more, I don't want to say acceptable, but I think today's society is more calloused to all the things. Austin was the light of my life. Both my sons were amazing. They were so tight. They had the best bond. They were best friends. And now I have to focus on taking care of Hunter and always taking care of myself and his mother and everyone else in the family. Oh my God, that picture. We love the outdoors. We love to hunt and fish together. Matter of fact, we just had one of our best hunting trips together this past weekend. I spoke to Austin Tuesday night on the phone about he took a test. He's like, man, I made a B. I was upset. He was upset because he made a B. And I said, it's going to be all right. He said, Dad, I'm going to come over this weekend and help mow your grass because I know your arm's hurt. And I said, okay. He said, I love you, Dad. And I said, I love you too, son. And those were the last words I ever heard from him.
Our prayers are with you, Jeff. And again, I can't even begin to understand what you're going through. But we will be praying for you and for your family. We appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, sir. God bless.
You too. As a parent of a...
so there you have it. That's the story everyone's talking about. I hate so much about that story. I don't believe I played this particular clip of Dave Smith talking with Joe Rogan. So I will play this for you now. It's about RFK Jr. and spending cuts. However you're watching, hit like, hit subscribe. And if you haven't yet jumped into the comments, type your name or your initials and where you're watching from. We love to find out who's hanging out in the room. We're all sitting here at the bar watching. Think of it this way. I'm the bartender. You're coming on in, you're sitting down, and we're watching the news together. We're having a conversation today. That's what we're doing. I'm flipping through the channels and we're watching. Hey, did you see this thing? What do you make of this story? I have thoughts on this. And you're cracking jokes and asking questions and offering thoughts as well. And sometimes you go, hey, put this thing on. Go look this thing up. I'll go, what thing? I go, oh, that sounds important. So anyway, here is Dave Smith talking to Rogan about RFK.
It's crazy that Bobby Kennedy is overhauling this whole thing and cutting all this. And you're like, okay. We spend more on health than any other nation in the world by far.
And we're
the sickest.
Yeah.
You're telling me there should, and your position here, it just like exposes that the entire media, it's like Your position here is to get in between the regime and any threat to the regime.
Well, it's also radical change, and radical change causes controversy, and controversy is what they sell.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the media is going to sell that, and they're going to sell it on the angle of this is creating all sorts of problems, all sorts of people are losing their jobs, budgets are getting cut, people are getting fired, they're out on the street. It's that.
It's crazy that Bobby Kennedy is overhauling this whole thing and cutting all this, and you're like, okay, we spend more on health than any other nation in the world by far.
It's nuts. And look, I get it. There are people I know, people you know, that might have a job change. The boat is sinking. We're trying to take everything off before it goes under. That's what 36 trillion in debt means. Trying to redesign this so we're moving in the right direction, because we're aiming at a iceberg, and we are all grabbing the wheel trying to pull it. The amount of waste, fraud, and abuse that's been occurring in our government, I mean, it might be the main source of where all this money's gone. 36 trillion allegedly that we owe, allegedly, that the interest is so large on. We spend more on the interest payments than we do on our national defense. Just declare chapter whatever, chapter 1776, declare bankruptcy and hit reset. Who says we owe this money? There's competing thoughts. But I mean, we're finding hundreds of billions of dollars, trillions of dollars going. None of this is necessary, and everything must go. This is an estate sale. Everything's got to go. Please find a home for all of these things. But yeah, it has to happen. It's unsustainable where we're at. And you can't blame the person who has to fix it for the reason it bloated to this expanse to begin with. Let's talk about bloating to the expanse that you can begin with. What does that even mean? Bloated to the expanse you can begin with. Hey, there's Bella's chance. There you go. Another glass of Elon Moscato, please. Yeah, see, I love this. Here's really how I view this. This is my afternoon shift at the bar. And you all kind of come on over and we're all talking to each other, right? The comments on the side. Let's put those back up. I think it's great. Okay, let's listen to what they're talking about is happening in Europe and how we should feel about this. We've had Marxist, Leninist, communist, socialist, America-hating educators. They're indoctrinators posing as educators, warping the brains of all of the kids going through the American school systems for so long. We've been taught to say, no, we're not exceptional. We're not good. We're not even good. We're actually bad. We might be the worst. That's what our kids have been subjected to. So how should we view the invasion and the overthrow of Europe?
Europe is somehow on par with the United States, and that we share something like, no, we don't share anything with you. We are the continuation of English civilization. That's what America is. We're the ones that got it right. We took everything good about England and we kicked out all the bullshit and we made a country out of it, right?
Yeah, it was 200 years ago.
We took the most functional civilization in the history of human beings. And when I say functional, I mean economic power, military power, and the way that the English common law had developed over the years. And we brought it here and we gave it to Jefferson and Thomas Paine and John Stuart Mill and people like this. And they refined it into what is the best country that's ever existed and probably will ever exist on this fucking planet. And comparing the United States to Europe or Canada or any of this stuff, get fucked, dude. I mean, these people are begging to be governed by somebody, always. And what they don't understand is the history of Europe is the history of totalitarianism. It always happens in one form or another. And right now they're building they're building the infrastructure from some lunatic like Hitler to come in and take control. Let's build one government for everybody. Okay, cool. So now one guy can come in and fucking just take over.
That's
the whole
fucking plan.
Are you out of your goddamn mind? Do you not see the problem with that? Europe is somehow on par with the United States.
we commented, begging to be governed. That is such a powerful phrase. All right, there's a question of the day. Type it in the comments, however you're watching. Hit like, hit subscribe, share the show. What is your drink of choice right now? If I said, I'll make you anything, what do you want? I've been a bartender for a while, but I really do consider this to be, come on in, we're going to watch the news together. We're going to talk about it. It's like my favorite shit to do. And that's where I tried to develop some of my comedic chops, like the improv. I got people in front of me. I'm trying to be funny. I'm trying to be like instantly hear something, turn it into a punchline. Bella's Chance will take a glass of Elon Moscato. David will have a Belvedere lightly dirty. Kenneth's having an iced tea, sweet or unsweet, lemon, no lemon. Do you want the raspberry iced tea or just the regular iced tea? And is that sweet or unsweet? All right. But yeah, this was a nice analysis of the comparison between Europe and America. I thought that was pretty nice. Hey, look at this. Technology changes, but our rights do not. Rest in peace, Val Kilmer. Has anyone watched any Val Kilmer in the past couple days? I keep meaning to watch Tombstone, and I'm looking around. I'm like, where's the VHS? Where's the DVD? I have this somewhere. Where the hell is this? Don't I have I have to have this movie. Don't I have it? It's impossible to find stuff on Netflix or Amazon sometimes. Like, I don't even search there for I like if I have a tangible piece of media. If it's media that I like. I do like owning a copy. This whole on-demand thing where it could disappear tomorrow and it just doesn't exist, that is, talk about throwing information down the memory hole. Oh no, that never happened. Tiananmen Square. Oh, that never happened. Remember that picture of the guy that's standing next to the other guy on the boat? And who was that? Was that Mao? Was that Lenin? Was that Stalin? And they just airbrushed him out. They just painted over him and like he was never there. That's what happens if you don't own physical copies of things. You'll own nothing and like it. No. But anyway, Val Kilmer, I've been meaning to watch Tombstone. And then this is from Heat, I suppose. But this is a nice meme here. Technology changes, rights do not. Share this far and wide. We shared it 16 hours ago, so you have like another 8 hours to get this. Because our storyline at the top here refreshes every 24 hours. But once again, that is why we ask you to... Oh, and on the side, 2 shots of a good tequila. What tequila do you consider good? I was out having dinner the other day, and I had 2 Asian gentlemen purchased me a really... what is it, 1942? Yeah, Don Julio, 1942. We did a shot of that the other night. It was a fun conversation. But yeah, why would you be mixing tequila with vodka, though? Like when you pick a path, don't you stay on that path? I don't know. I feel like that's one of the keys to life. I've been a bartender for a while, and I haven't always gotten this right. Okay, here's a girl asking, well, not asking. She's asked all the time, so she gives the answer. Why are leftists so angry?
All the time why I think people on the left are angry, coming from the left. I guess I'm a fairly good source to ask. There's a lot of factors at play. Cognitive dissonance, 1, which if you don't know, that's the discomfort one feels from having contradicting thoughts or beliefs. Also, every issue on the left is made into an emotionally charged issue. It's all a form of some type of injustice. And if you actually believe that there's all these different injustices occurring in the world, you're going to be angry about it. But also look at the content that people are pushing out. I mean, most of the time when I see like super woke creators, they're yelling, they're screaming, they're angry, they're emotionally charged. Now imagine being locked in an algorithm on every platform, giving you all of that content. Oh, imagine your friends, everyone in your life, being angry all the time about things that are going on in the world.
And that's why TikTok is dangerous. Because they have the heat button. That's why. They're able to drive stories up where all of a sudden all you see is George Floyd and riots and racism, political terrorism, orange man bad, go get him, go get him, go get him. You control the algorithm. Mark Zuckerberg, I believe, was busted doing this to give people rage bait and see how angry he could make people. It's the same weaponization that the CIA projects have run since the CIA became a thing. And they can do that to you through their social media now. And so this girl's saying, imagine if that's what you were fed every day and you're in the loop and it just changes you. So that Minnesota cop saying that the person that keyed the Tesla is the victim. I firmly believe that most of the good people out there who have been victim of this mind abuse, this brain damage, it's mental abuse. It is emotional abuse. Remember, they told you for years Colin Kaepernick couldn't get a job in the NFL because, in the comments section, why did the media, why did ESPN, why did MSNBC, why did CNN, why did Democrat politicians, why did they all tell us that Colin Kaepernick couldn't get a job in the NFL? Why did Barack Obama chime in on it? Why did so many of the Democrat Party chime in on Colin Kaepernick? And the take a knee thing went everywhere across the nation. Why was that? Oh, because he's black. It wasn't because he got benched for Blaine Gabbert, because he was primarily a running quarterback running the pistol offense. And when they came into the league, he was faster, younger, and the league wasn't ready for it. Over the next couple years, he got older, he had injuries, he got slower, and the league caught up to the pistol offense. So yes, they were in a Super Bowl, and then it went downhill to the point where you got benched for Blaine Gabbert. And when he wasn't re-signed to a mega deal, he turned it into a race issue when it wasn't, which is why I take it so personal when these other stories involving different racial components never get an ounce of scrutiny, as at least as a what if. What if that attacker that killed that twin? What if there was racial animus behind it? Why can't we at least ask that question after being subjected to 10 years of Colin Kaepernick lies? That he wasn't getting a job in the NFL because he's, what? Because of your race? Have you looked around every locker room in the NFL? Have you looked? It's because you want $50 million and you're not a good quarterback anymore. But Nike bought into it. ESPN bought into it. The Democrat Party bought into it. And they just pummeled us with that shit year after year with this. All we want to do is watch the game, man. And that really is the shame of the Obama doctrine. It's taken us so far off course, and it's so intentional, so avoidable, so unnecessary. Maybe it's not unnecessary in regard to how they got power and control, but I feel like with this last 2024 election, the people spoke and they're done playing it that way. But anyway, back to the girl who says their algorithm is giving them all of the rage everywhere.
You're going to be angry. And then add on top of that, all the people dealing with a lot of emotional turmoil, and they might not know where to put that, so they're pushing it into politics. Just my 2 cents.
Walk away. All right. Is this satire or true? Are British police really doing this?
So,
what do you mean I can't have any alcohol?
Okay, well I'll tell you. Okay, the time's 20 to 3, 14:40. I'm arresting you on suspicion of improper use of the electronic communications network.
Improper use of the electronic communications network. Did you hear that? They're reporting that British police raid the home of a grandfather with a heart condition to arrest him for his comments on Facebook. Is this true? Question 1. Number 2, what were the comments?
What?
127 Communications Act, okay? So you do not have to say it. It may harm your defence if you don't mention one question subject to later on in court. anything you do say may be given evidence. Do you understand that?
So I'm actually being
You're
arrested.
going to be arrested, okay?
Right,
Take you
and-
up to the police station.
Right.
Ask you, okay, this is in relation to some comments that you've made on a Facebook page.
Oh, really? Oh, it's a Facebook crime, is it?
Okay.
Right.
So we need to ask you some questions about that.
Right.
Have you got anything in your pockets?
I got my keys. I got. No, it's made it. I think keys.
So, anyone who's been arrested, we can search them under Section 32 of the Police and Criminal Act.
Right.
And that's for dangerous items.
Dude, this is so creepy.
Hey, I mean, you said I was going to be arrested under some what information? But I'm going to be arrested for posting on Facebook.
Some comments that are offensive, obscene, and people have made a complaint about that.
Offensive or obscene comments. God bless our First Amendment. We have the right to say what we want to say. And you have the right to walk away if you want to walk away. This is madness what's happened in Great Britain. Are you really going to tolerate this, Great Britain?
And can you tell me what this comment was?
There you go. Tell me what the comment was.
Well, we'll do that when we interview.
All right. And so, what am I going to be locked up for the night, or?
Hopefully not.
Right. Do I need to take my medications with me?
Yes, we will look at taking all of those.
When do you need to take them?
Well, I've got pain medications. I've got sleeping medication. I've got anxiety medications, which I might take one of those in a bit. Okay. You know.
Well, if we take everything with us, then you've got everything there, haven't you?
And then we've got a nurse up there. They'll be able to.
Okay.
They'll be able to come and see you, and then once you've been there, they can assess whether or not medication can be issued. All right. So what we're going to do is, you want to pop yourself up. We're just going to search.
You need the glasses.
Yeah, search you.
To come with you.
My glasses.
Yeah. You want to take them with you?
Why?
First of all, I'm going to seize this, okay, as evidence.
Well.
So let's okay. So.
I mean, is this real? Is this satire? Is this real life? I don't even know what to say there. So is this what people are hinting at? Some big investigation. Has Elon Musk discovered miracle wealth in Congress? Is this what they're hinting at is going to be big news coming out?
Musk announcing the Department of Government Efficiency's new target. The next one up, he says, will be for the department, will be looking into elected members of Congress who have become multimillionaires during their time in government.
A lot of strangely wealthy members of Congress. I'm trying to connect the dots of how did they become rich while earning, how'd they get 20 million if they're earning 200,000 a year? Nobody can explain that. We're going to try to figure it out and certainly stop it from happening.
One of the most entertaining things last year was following the Nancy Pelosi stock tracker, and there were several funds that popped up based solely on her stock trades, outperformed all the index funds by quite a lot. And, you know, it was very odd because Paul, her husband, would make these curious trades, whether it was Visa or Broadcom or NVIDIA. And all of a sudden, you know, a week or two later, there would be big news with all of these companies that directly benefit him. Yeah, I mean, he must be psychic.
Yeah. Pelosi and others didn't want to vote for anything that would have culled some of this or at least held accountability.
They are so busted. That's why they're lashing out so much right now.
Among lawmakers.
No, they'll do everything they can to make sure that they're not held accountable for this. And I laugh because a couple years ago, Nancy Pelosi was so good at trading, she beat every major hedge fund in America.
Yes.
With like staff of hundreds of researchers whose only job is to find like the golden ticket on a stock trade.
For Elon Musk. And
Go figure. Keep your eyes peeled. Yeah, don't forget, it took Democrats less than 3 months to turn to domestic terrorism. It took Democrats less than 3 months to turn to domestic terrorism. They are out of ideas. So I saw this, but look, it brought my spidey senses up. I don't know if I could believe this. This says, let me go to the other screen. 9 prominent Democrats had their overseas accounts frozen for further audit by DOJ. Investigations come before arrests. The ball is rolling. And our question was, is this real? Let me do a search on X and ask. I have everything queued up on here. Let's do a search. 9 prominent Democrats. I'm not seeing anything jumping up here. So our right to ask that question, is this real? It didn't seem real. But stay tuned. Will it be? Time will tell. Democrats like Ro Khanna, they're using Mr. Rogers as a defense to fund PBS and NPR. So here's a back and forth, asking a question.
No, I'm on the oath. All of history. It's a successor to Mr. Rogers.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Rogers, I know.
Okay. Are you familiar with his 1969 testimony?
I am.
He said, I want to quote, because it's one of my favorites. I studied this actually going to school.
This is Democrat Ro Khanna.
The most effective testimony in Congress. He said, I give an expression of care every day to each child to help him realize that he is unique. I end the program by saying, you've made this day a special day by just being you. There's no person in the whole world like you, and I like you just the way you are.
Boys are boys from the beginning. If you were born
is where I need to pause it so that they don't say you can't play a copyright strike, but we're trying to listen and there's music attached and this will get flagged by YouTube, which is completely out of control with their censorship stuff.
boy, you stay a boy. Girls are girls right from the start.
Well, this seems like a very straightforward conversation, although we did dedicate moments of our show tonight, or today rather, to the fencing story, where they wanted girls to fence against boys.
If you were born a girl, you stay a girl. And
it's so weird. Why did Mr. Rogers feel the need to say this at this time?
Grow up to be a lady. Everybody's fancy.
I'm just thinking about it differently, perhaps. Like, why did he feel this was necessary? Was it necessary? Are we reading too much into it?
Everybody's fine.
Anyway, I don't want to get a copyright strike, but that's what they were saying. Are they going to endorse Mr. Rogers? I doubt it. This is pretty funny. This is Peter Griffin. It's time to put America first. Here we go. Goes over to the window. Turns on, flips on the light, and here you see it. On a big screen, it looks like. Reciprocal tariffs. It's that chart that you've seen over the past couple days. Well, we're getting tariffed by this nation. We're going to slap one on you. And we'd like you to get rid of that. So get rid of yours, and maybe we'll get rid of ours. Reciprocally.
Good.
Good. Just go in to check on it, make sure it's there. That's what it's like putting America first. I think it's pretty classic here. This is what the internet was made for. Actually, that's what I'm gonna put. Content like this is what the internet was created for. Yeah, all right. Joey Manarino says the left says the tariffs are fine when they're against American products, but they're not fine when they're against foreign products in America? Tell me you're wholly owned by foreign interests without telling me. Are you owned by foreign interests, or do you work to improve the United States of America? Bull Moose American shared this and said the same people who shut down the world economy because of a virus with 99% survival rate are now crying about the same economy they effed up because Orange Man bad. Like, no, F you, we don't have to listen to you anymore, especially after the lockdowns, the forced business closures, and international shipping disruptions. F you. And yeah, it's where you just tell people you're not in charge. You do not have the consent of the governed. You may sit down now until you're called upon. You want to get a role in this administration? Get in line. Get in line and get elected. And we'll see you in 2 years. We'll see you in 4 years. Because your way is terrible. What they did. What Biden did. So now we've seen this reported in multiple places. What does this mean? Mike Lee, Senator based Mike Lee, says, is it possible that Thomas Crooks was paid by U.S. aid or any other federal agency? Mila Joy saying there was a photo of Atlanta DA Fannie Willis on Trump assassin Thomas Crooks' phone. There was a photo of Fannie Willis on the phone of the person that allegedly took shots at President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Determine why a photo of Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis ended up on the phone of Thomas Crooks. He's the man investigators say tried to kill former President Trump. Good day's Mark Titan is live at the Fulton County Courthouse with more on this developing story. Mark, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Buck. Certainly disconcerting and disturbing, to say the least. This issue now being looked at by the feds.
I'm not supposed to be here tonight. Not supposed to be here.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Former President Donald Trump recounts the moments a would-be assassin tried to take his life. Now CNN reports a photo of Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis was found on the suspected shooter Thomas Crooks' phone. The information came out in a Secret Service FBI briefing. Crooks' motive for the assassination attempt isn't known. Law enforcement
To determine why a photo of Fulton County.
So let's keep our eyes on that. GBN reporting over here about the crisis in Europe. The France migration chaos. They are reporting 77% of rape cases on Paris streets are committed by non-French in 2023. Shocking stats reveal. Without invaders in France, there would be 80% less violence on women, which is scary data, according to GBN. Almost as if you're a resident of the community, you're safer than being a transient. Hey, by the way, Robbie Starbucks reminds us, when somebody asks me why I hate the left so much, I send them this pic. That's two nurses in the hospital with gloves and masks on, with a sign that says, "He is at peace. We are so sorry." They refused to let you be with your family as they expired. Never forgive these people and never forget. Donald Trump here puts this out and says the witch hunt against Marine Le Pen is another example of European leftists using lawfare to silence free speech and censor their political opponent. This time going so far as to put that opponent in prison. It is the same playbook that was used against me by a group of lunatics and losers like Norm Eisen, Andrew Weissman, and Lisa Monaco. They spent the last 9 years thinking of nothing else, and they failed because the people of the United States realized that they were only corrupt lawyers and politicians. I don't know Marine Le Pen, but I do appreciate how hard she worked for so many years. She suffered losses, but kept on going. And now, just before what would be a big victory, they get her on a minor charge that she probably knew nothing about. Sounds like a bookkeeping error to me. It's all so bad for France and the great French people, no matter what side they are on. Free Marine Le Pen. They're doing this all across the globe, people. All across the globe. All right. I don't think this is the same.
Federal government
of Dave Smith talking to Rogan. My Lord, if this is the same clip 3 times, my apologies.
Is the biggest organization in the history of the world.
The U.S. government, the biggest company in the history of the world.
We spend more than any other government in the history of the world has ever spent. We are so far in debt now that the interest on the debt is now, I believe last year it was $1.2 trillion.
That's not.
And it's going up.
Sustainable.
Yeah. And the interest on the debt is now overtaking the entire budget. Like, I remember when $1 trillion deficits were crazy. If we balanced our budget tomorrow, we still run $1 trillion deficit every year just because we owe it on the interest on the debt. This is so obviously a crisis. And then they're trying to convince you that the real crisis is that Elon Musk and a few of his genius nerd buddies want to open the books? Like, how the fuck can you convince anyone of that? The U.S. federal government.
All right. I got to meet Dave and talk with him for a bit. He came by doing stand-up, and I saw him at the Libertarian Convention. I think he's him and Clint Russell, Luke Radowski, a lot of people that were at the Libertarian Convention. Some of the more important thought leaders. Luke. What is the other guy that I want to book? It'll come to me. We're in a situation, and we got to look at there's just mathematics. There's lies, damn lies, and statistics. I guess you could add mathematics there, but yeah, Elon is not the problem. The problem is that we've been allowing ourselves to run $1 trillion deficits, and everybody's been looting us blind. That is a problem. Here's Miss Muckraker, gonna take you through some disturbing stuff here. Miss Muckraker says acceptance of trans ideology was first, and now they are trying to normalize pedophilia and MAPS, which are minor attracted persons. And next is going to be bestiality. Florida dog mom reported by Terrible. An influencer was arrested for filming herself doing things with the Chihuahua and sharing it with her Instagram followers. This 27-year-old Logan faces charges. Good Lord. Also, General Motors increasing production in Indiana after President Trump's tariffs. That's good. President Trump secured $6 trillion in commitments to America today. That's what Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, has updated us on. Biden could never stand here and take questions from a gaggle of reporters. Norway, once the land of Norwegian Vikings, is, it appears that nation has been received a dose of the Obama doctrine. New York City Mayor Eric Adams has left the Democrat Party. I guess we saw this coming, huh? They got mad at him for speaking out about all of the illegal aliens being dumped into his budget and into his city. So then they tried to ruin him and send him to jail. These people are vindictive. They are dangerous. They have to be removed from power. Carnivore Aurelius says, it seems like almost every couple I talk to is using IVF to get pregnant these days. And many times it's not even working. This is not normal. Modern society is poisoning our fertility. Miss Muckraker says, I feel as if they started making people infertile years ago. Oh, so here's where we have to put on the screen that you need countervailing views. CISA.gov/rumor control, CDC.gov, and WHO.int. Because they'll tell you that this is not happening, that people aren't using in vitro. They'll tell you that people are not less fertile than they used to be because they think they know everything or they're lying about something. So find your countervailing views there. Miss Muckraker says, I feel as if they started making people infertile years ago with products and environmental chemicals and pesticides on food, among many other things as well. They basically secured their clients 20 years in advance, create the problem, then charge outrageous amounts of money for the solution. IVF is the same as the cancer industry, man. Current state of hygiene products in America. This deodorant is crumble cake flavored, scented. Good Lord. Good Lord, people. The Western Journal reporting that a student was arrested for allegedly throwing a Molotov cocktail at Columbia, which they call the anti-Semitism capital of academia. So there you go. Dr. Raymond Nichols says they track every appointment, but they never track the outcomes. 72 doses, 20 well-child visits, 4 rounds of antibiotics a year, and rising rates of all sorts of things. But don't ask if the system caused it. They'll say it's correlation, not a causation, until it's their narrative. Disclaimer, the data is there. They just don't want you to read it. Go to cisa.gov/rumor control, who.int, and cdc.gov. Scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Are we allowed to ask questions as to why people are getting so sick? I think
it's not liberal.
Here is Joe Rogan talking about men and women's sports. He's a combat expert. Just listen to what the expert has to say here, people.
To allow biological males to compete against biological females in
Right.
sports because you're being kind. You're just enabling mental illness, and you're enabling the potential for creeps to make their way into women's locker rooms.
Right.
Because you don't have any sort of a metric. There's no way to gauge whether or not someone's really trans. So you have perverts with hard dicks that are wandering around women's locker rooms.
I know.
And that's real. And then
No, I know.
And if you say something against them, you're a Nazi.
Yeah.
So it's fucking through the looking glass,
Yeah.
like completely. But it just shows you how it's really just about conforming to an ideology. It's not about a real core set of standards and beliefs. Because the core set of standards and beliefs, and this is where like things like USAID come into play, they can be manipulated. They can be manipulated by a mass psyop that you do through the media.
Mhm.
And that is the core thing of this. What we're getting to is essentially the fucking coffin where the vampire sleeps. And that's what USAID is. They found.
There you go. Where's the coffin where the vampire sleeps? There's USAID. And that's just one of many.
On the coffin. You know, and maybe that coffin does hand out sandwiches in Guatemala or something occasionally. But for the most part, what they're doing.
And they do. There's some of that, but that's not the purpose. That's just the byproduct. That's the part of the collateral damage is they have to make it look a certain way.
Is they're controlling the entire federal government, and they're controlling the mindset, the zeitgeist of the population. And they're funding all these people that go along with this wacky shit.
And they're unelected, they're working in the shadows, and they're sabotaging President Trump's first 2 terms.
And they're attacking.
And they're working as the foot soldiers for the bad guys when the Democrats are in power.
Openly
causing chaos.
Attacking and trying to censor people who go against it.
Yeah.
And they're spending your tax dollars to do so.
Yeah.
Your tax dollars get funneled to NGOs. NGOs start attacking people that have differing ideologies.
Yeah, usually, and but they did become so disconnected from the average person that my advice would be to, they say like, oh,
are they disconnected from the average person, or are they just, do you have useful idiots? They don't have to be ideologically aligned. They just know that they could use them as useful idiots. These idiots, we could play them like a fiddle to do all of the dirty work to push some of this stuff through. Maybe that's what's happening.
normies did. This is one of the things I'm hearing online. Like normies didn't vote for this. What Elon's doing with those 6. Like I need a movie about what these kids are doing. By the way, they didn't vote for this. I'm like, yes, they did. Normies didn't vote for. You're saying normies wanted normalcy, so they voted for Trump? Like that doesn't even. People knew what they were getting.
The anti-Obama Biden, yes, to reverse course while we still can before this nation is completely kaput.
They want something to happen.
You have to rip the Band-Aid off. And the only way to rip the Band-Aid off, someone's got to get into those fucking books and find out what's going on. And what they found so far is very enlightening. And it's not good. It's not good at all. So anybody that's not commenting on hey, you know what? They are finding a lot of unbelievable waste and corruption.
Yeah.
But also, he shouldn't be able to do that. Like they're not even saying he's finding insane waste and corruption.
Yeah.
And he's finding this circular loop of funding. And he's finding this manipulation of public perception on a wide variety of issues, including COVID, vaccines, and the border, all these different things. They were actively involved in mind-fucking the entire country. And no one's addressing that from the left. So they're losing more and more credibility. So all they can cling to is he has access to people's social security numbers and private information. Like, it's not liberal to allow biological males to compete against biological females in
Right.
sports because you're being kind. You're just enabling mental illness, and you're enabling the potential for creeps to make their way into women's locker rooms.
Right.
Because you don't have any sort of a metric. There's no way to.
Man, that move is so subtle. You don't even notice that it just blurs from the end of the final sentence to the beginning of the other one. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot to unpack there, but that's exactly what you're seeing. You're seeing the panic from the people realizing that their endless funding supply is over, and we're actually addressing the chronic spending issue. And, you know, coincidentally, not coincidentally, had they, whoever they are, done a better job of managing the day-to-day operations, maybe we wouldn't have needed to do such an intense deep dive, because we're diving into debt. We're smacking right into that iceberg and going down. You killed the goose that laid the golden egg, and now we're unplugging every funding mechanism from everything that's non-essential. Because we have to, because of what you did. It's not what Trump's doing. It's not what Elon's doing. It's what you have set up in an unsustainable mess. And President Trump just calling for interest rates to be dropped. We'll see what happens there. Sean Farash here reminding us what a terraphobe is. Have you heard of terraphobe? That's a person who is afraid of or harshly opposed to imposing tariffs on countries who have been taking advantage of us for decades. Male terraphobes are often married to women who have boyfriends. Oh, Sean Farash, you're so funny. Let's get back to the judges and what's happening here. Do the judges have a ability, a constitutional authority to issue a nationwide injunction, yes or no? Well, here's Real America's Voice. Let's listen to this, talking with Marsha Blackburn.
Solutions. One of them was keeping those injunctions isolated to that district for the adjoining parties. Tell us what you think is going to be the best solution going forward, and it's got to happen fast.
Well, it does indeed, which means that you're going to need the Supreme Court to weigh in on this, and I am certainly that Chief Justice Roberts will do that. In addition to that, it is important to realize that there is zero constitutional authority and zero statutory authority that allows a federal district judge to issue a nationwide injunction. We know that a federal district judge is limited in scope to the case that is in front of him and the district in which he is seated. And for these district judges to think that they can do a universal injunction and have it stand is something that is activist activity. And one of what I think, and one of the things that became so clear yesterday in the hearing that we had on this, is Democrats have not been able to get their way and get what they want at the ballot box or through legislative activity.
They lost because they don't have ideas that we want to do anymore, or ever. We reject their proposals and we're moving on.
So now they are turning to the judiciary and say, we failed, so we need you to go fix this. And it proves to us that the Democrats have learned nothing from the election in November, and they are completely out of step with the American people.
Completely out of touch with the American people. Watch this one. You got to be aware, and you got to lock your doors, and you got to be ready for anything. Would-be car thief caught in the act.
Jimmy Brown's car. A Knoxville Police Department spokesperson tells us that Brown was in a barber shop along North Broadway today when he saw someone getting into his car. KPD tells us he then ran out to intervene when the suspect, who has been identified as 26-year-old Samson Prater, drove over the curb and hit a parked vehicle. That's when Brown pulled Prater out of his car and, well, this happened. Brown tells us, quote, he got what he had coming to him, and hopefully he won't steal Jimmy Brown's car.
I mean, come on. That had to make your day watching, right? You don't like seeing these dirtbags get away with this crap. Here's a simple reminder. You were okay with 86,000 IRS agents hired to audit you. But you're mad about 40 Doge employees hired to audit the people stealing your tax dollars? Liberal logic is amazing. 86,000 IRS agents just to breathe down your neck, shake you down, and make your life living hell. But you're mad at 40 people at Doge figuring out where the hundreds of billions of dollars are going. Instead of rebuilding Maui, East Palestine, Ohio, Pacific Palisades in Western North Carolina, they're going into the pockets of dirtbags, barbarians and thieves that are robbing us blind. Get your priorities in check. Here's a good conversation. Yeah, Anthony Fauci, there's a lot of positive stuff here, right?
There's a lot of positive aspects to him, that he's accomplished a lot of incredible things in his life. He started AIDS. I mean, that's a huge thing. There's a lot of positive aspects to him, that he's accomplished a lot of incredible things in his life. He started AIDS. I mean, that's a huge thing. There's a lot of positive.
So that's Lex and Tim Dillon, Lex Friedman, Tim Dillon. Yeah, go to cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov/rumor control at the bottom of the screen for countervailing views. That what Tim Dillon said there, that boy just ain't right. Right? Fauci and AIDS.
If any.
Yep, go to cisa.gov/rumor control because they don't think that COVID was planned years in advance. They don't want you to see this video that is allegedly a TED Talk with Bill Gates talking in 2015. Do you want to see this?
Thing kills over 10 million people in the next few decades. It's
that if anything is going to do it, it's going to be
most likely to be a highly infectious virus.
If we get an airborne pandemic, if we haven't built ahead of time some structures to deal with this, millions of people could be adversely impacted.
But also there will be a surprise outbreak. The next administration, that there's no doubt in anyone's mind that they will be faced with the challenges that their predecessors were faced with.
You know, I see both sides of this. These prominent figures are very openly telling you what we lived through. You know, the movie Outbreak, that was from 20 plus years ago or something. Stephen King's The Stand, the same thing. You know, it's not a novel idea to discuss a novel coronavirus. But having lived through it and watched the totalitarian measures that were enacted specifically by the deep state Democrats, you know, let's put this all together and let's ask ourselves a question with some hindsight. Is it possible this was planned? Because they were all planned enough to say that it could happen. It sure felt like it was possibly intentionally released. CISA.gov/rumor control at the bottom of the screen. Because they silenced us for asking that question or holding a suspicion. How are we going to know one way or the other? Because somebody told me so? Yeah, well, China held a lot of the information. They refused to tell us what was going on. They lied to us. It delayed us countless minutes, hours, days, weeks, months of research, preparation, and strategy because they lied to us. They said it was a wet market too. They loved lying to us. Oh, and then it was an accidental lab leak. Oh, was it? Or was it intentional?
Pandemic prevention and preparedness is going to end up being, whether the administration likes it or not, a priority, a top priority.
Trump is now president. When he faces his first major epidemic, as his predecessors have, he will likely project his impulsivity, xenophobia, and cavalier attitude towards facts to over 52 million followers.
We may yet again have another pandemic, and it is almost inevitable that we will have another.
I hate Fauci, but it is almost inevitable that we will. But man, in hindsight, it looks like they were telling you it's going to be happening very soon. This guy who was funding that research in Wuhan, by the way. You're aware of that, right? Is that the reason that my account had received the hard strike from YouTube? Because I'm discussing U.S. aid taking money, and that we can't even figure out where it's going most of the time. We're discovering more and more about the slush fund. We're discovering that Fauci was involved in funding gain of function. Rand Paul, and a laundry list of others. We've been talking about it for years. But it's weird the things that will be censored on YouTube or Google or Meta, Instagram, Facebook. If we discuss it, it's so weird, isn't it?
The pandemic.
Welcome to event 201.
Of what's looking like it will be a severe pandemic.
A new coronavirus.
Why don't we blow the system up and then say, hey, everyone in the world should get this new vaccine we haven't given to anyone yet?
But it is not too crazy to think that an outbreak of a novel avian virus could occur in China somewhere. We could get the RNA sequence from that and print those vaccines on a patch and self-administer.
So yeah, just a good reminder. The Telegraph here saying that a rapist's criminal record is so bad he can't be deported. There's a Jamaican who probably would be blocked from getting witness protection in his home country, which puts his life at risk. And we said, yeah, that's the point. How does that even make sense? What are we missing here? Why are we supposed to care about a rapist? We're supposed to get rid of them. We should charge them and execute the penalty phase. You don't allow your people to get raped. You make an example of the rapist every chance that you get. It's the biggest disrespect someone can have, especially if you're not from that country. Anyway, you've heard this rumor that Trump wants Elon Musk gone, right? You've been hearing this story back and forth. Trump wants Musk on his team for as long as possible, and they've hinted at a major Doge discovery. Oh, have they? Trump says, number one, I like him. Number two, he's doing a great job. Number three, he is a patriot. That's why he's doing this. What Doge found is incredible, and I give him a lot of credit. He's got some very smart people with him. So, does Trump want Elon out or does he not? We shall see. The UK is telling everybody, hey, we're going to liberate Ukraine from the tyranny of Russia. Also, here's the UK.
It was terrifying.
Their streets have been taken over by non-citizens.
Boys had to be rescued by the police as bottles and eggs rained down on them. Mohammed Hijab then threatened a police officer that he'd kill the boy's dog if he saw it again.
However, when those Zionists came in with their dogs, that was an act of provocation. So what we're saying now, and I'm making it very clear so everyone understands, if those dogs come close to us again, we will see it as an act of aggression, and we will kill those dogs. We'll put them down.
Hijab and Dawa then led the crowd to Speaker's Corner, and as the mob marched through London streets, screaming, "We'll find some Jews, we want their blood," the police did nothing. Let that sink in. They're calling for our literal blood, and the police are just strolling alongside them.
We'll find some Jews there. We want the Zionists, we want the blood. This is the nice anti-Jewish edition.
A couple of hours later, we were violently assaulted leaving a kosher restaurant in an anti-Semitic attack. I hate to say this, but I'm not sure there's a future for Jews in this country. We're being attacked on the streets by extremists, and the police do nothing.
The difference between us and them is that for them, they think life begins. For us, we believe that death begins. We believe that life begins at death. We don't care about death. We love death. And if you think that our people in Palestine or across the Arab and Muslim world will let go of the struggle and our sacred places like Al-Aqsa, you are grossly mistaken.
After a pro-Palestinian convoy drove through a Jewish neighborhood threatening to rape Jewish women and children, this odious pair drove to that same neighborhood, Golders Green, broadcasting inflammatory messages on the side of a lorry.
So you see what's happening in UK. It's a battleground, people. It's a battleground. Congressman Thomas Massey says Congress literally shut down. Before I get to this, yeah, because I had like a long text thread with a group today, just talking about this nonstop Arab-Jewish battle. It's never ending, and it's been never ending since we've been alive. I don't have any good answers there. I'm so tired of it. But yeah, we went back and forth on what from the river to the sea means, what intifada means, what the ultimate plan is. Isn't the plan of Hamas to completely erase and eradicate all Jewish people? And isn't the left standing with that group? Seems like a lot of people on the left, the Democrats, are in that camp, that Free Palestine group, that Antifa group, that BLM group. And then they're also calling to paint swastikas on Elon Musk's car because he said, "From my heart to you," to a crowd, because you want to fund Ukraine, who have literal Nazi Azov battalion, have a real regiment there of Nazi fighters that you want to arm, but then say you have to go after Elon because he is a Nazi who you're arming in Ukraine. Because why again? I'm getting really confused with all this stuff. It is tricky. It is hard to follow. But in the course of that conversation, it ended up boiled down to what you saw there in that video. Arab and Jew not getting along. Wow, I've never heard that story before. Tell me more. I'm so intrigued. What are you supposed to do? They will not stop fighting. They will not stop fighting. I said, you kick both kids out of the play box, out of the sandbox if they won't stop fighting. It's recess. You're acting like children. You're acting like, I don't know what's happening here, but you won't stop hitting each other. Get out of the sandbox, both of you. Well, he started it. No, he started. I was here first. Guys, I told you, you're out. You're both out. At some point, you're just going to have to give them an equivalent acreage in Greenland and just call it a day. You get X amount of thousand of miles, square miles for your country. You get X amount of square thousand miles for your country. You're here, you're there, you're in different places. Leave each other alone. This spot here, we're going to turn it into a whatever you want to turn it into. All right, moving on. Congressman Thomas Massey says Congress literally shut down for an entire week over a spat about whether new moms and dads serving in the House of Representatives should be allowed to stay home and vote. Imagine if we were this passionate about saving the country from fiscal ruin and perpetual war. I think there's a lot of these, right? Nope, just one. Anti-State put this out and said the federal government's very existence is antithetical to freedom. It exists to dominate, not to liberate. And its actions since Ruby Ridge demonstrate its intolerance for any American's challenge to its authority. There's a woman there with the sign that says FBI burn in hell. There's a nice segue to Lindsey Graham. Let's see what he has to say, talking to Hannity about the historic tax cuts.
More with his brand new plan to get Trump's agenda through the Senate, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. All right, so for the president to get his economic plan in place, putting the tariff issue completely aside, and that would be making the tax cuts permanent, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, to get more money for the border and border security and to deport people, to get more money and get our energy sector up and running at the level we need. Historically, that would take reconciliation. And usually you would need 60 votes to get that passed. However, the Democrats have set a precedent not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. And that is the chairman of the Budget Committee, which happens to be you. You don't need permission from the Senate parliamentarian, and you will bypass the process. It sounds complicated. It's not. Tell us where we are with this.
Okay, number one, no Democrat is going to help us cut your taxes, secure your border, give additional money to the military. They're not going to do any of that stuff. We've had the House, the Senate, and the White House Republicans 4 times in the last 100 years. When you have all 3, you can do things through budget reconciliation in the Senate to avoid the 60-vote requirement. The Democrats did Obamacare through reconciliation and the infrastructure bill through reconciliation, not using any, not counting on us. We have a historic opportunity to make the tax cuts permanent, to fully fund the border plan for 4 years without 1 Democratic vote, help the military, and cut trillions of spending without 1 Democratic vote being needed. If we can work together today, 52-48, we move forward. We'll be voting tomorrow night, probably in the middle of the night, to set in motion the 4 things President Trump promised. Make the tax cuts permanent. As budget chairman, I decided to make a decision that's within my authority to use current policy, making tax cutting the same as spending under the Budget Control Act. Means that you don't have to play this game that they expire. We're going to keep them in place, which will be great for the economy. $175 billion for the Border Patrol to finish the wall, more beds so you don't have to release people, and more ICE agents. $150 billion for the military, and we're going to cut trillions of dollars of spending when we get the reconciliation bill. This jumpstarts the process, and John Thune delivered. Our Republican senators delivered, working with Mike Johnson and President Trump. We're going to deliver for you at home like we promised.
Okay. 4 times in 100 years, Republicans have the White.
That's a lot to unpack. Essentially, what we're looking at now is doing the exact same thing the Democrats have done, because with them, it's always, no, do as we say, not as we do. No, I know we were doing that thing, but no, we're not doing it that way. No, I guess that's the way that it operates now. They have created a scenario where this is what happens. So maybe some of the budgetary frustrations that I had, that Thomas Massey had, that Rand Paul had, is it possible that through reconciliation and some of these transactionary legalese, strategies, chess maneuvers, they're going to be able to lock in a budget for the next 4 years. They're going to remove a ton of spending, and then that issue's off the table for a long time, and they just get to go to work. Were they able to pull one over on them? Is it possible that that's what happened? That they were able to pull something over on the Democrats? And it's not even really pull it over, because the Democrats created this scenario. The Democrats did this. So I'm open to interpretation here, but let's hear what the rest of Lindsay has to say.
White House, the House, and the Senate. So This is a rare moment of a window of opportunity.
4 times in the last 100 years, they've had the House, the Senate, and the presidency. So once in 25 years, you get a chance like this. And to do the level of changes necessary that we're trying to accomplish. When I say we, I just mean common sense people at this point. You have to recalibrate the money coming in and the money going out. And anything not essential has to go. We have to prioritize the right stuff. And we have to open this country up for business and get jobs here that Americans can work for good wages. This stuff has been all offshored, and then they dump 30 million illegal aliens in our country. It's like, hey, there's people here that are looking for work. You want to come in here, you go through the port of entry, you wait in line with everybody else, and you make sure that you're not a burden on us in the process of asking for some help. Because we got our own problems here. And when you're 36 trillion in debt, we don't have our own house in order. Sorry. I don't have anything to donate today. It's been a shitty year. Sorry, can't make a donation today. We have urgent existential problems that could jeopardize the future of our country. Yeah, David, I'm not a fan of Lindsay either. Did Bud get text? No, I'm not a fan of Lindsey Graham either. Biggest flip-flopper. I can't believe he's running unopposed again. I am so sick of this dude. But let's hear the rest of it.
To make these tax cuts permanent, you are going to exercise the authority that the Democrats exercised to pass Obamacare and the Inflation Reduction Act. Is that correct? And Democrats are screaming bloody murder?
Yeah. Democrats have adjusted the baseline to accommodate their spending needs. And
you cannot adjust the baseline to accommodate spending needs when you're this much in debt. Like, you have to handle it. We're paying more than our budget on interest. It's default time. It's time to take back our whatever we owe. I'm telling you, you reach a point in business where you owe too much, and it's the lender's fault for continuing to do it. I don't know who exactly technically owns what. Like, is there a bank that owns 36 trillion? Like, who gets? There are some specifics I would love to sit down and nail down. Maybe I should set up an interview with Thomas Massey. Who would be the best position to explain this stuff? There's probably 50 people in Congress and pundits that really have this under control, but I'm curious to understand a little better. Is there somebody that you've listened to out there? David, Kenneth, everybody else, Bella's Chance. Is there a particular voice that you go to or that understands who actually owes who how much money when we say we owe 36 trillion? Who are the best voices on that subject? I'm not entirely certain. Let's hear the rest of Lindsey Graham, though.
Budget chairman can set the baseline for taxes. I am going to say, through my discretion as budget chairman, that the baseline for taxes will be current policy, which means they will not expire. They never add to the deficit, by the way. When you cut taxes, you always get more revenue. You just spend more money. So I'm going to do something that I have the authority to do that should have been done a long time ago. I'm going to make the Trump tax cuts permanent. That's a big friggin' deal. We're going to give $175 billion to the Border Patrol to do what Trump promised without needing one Democratic vote. We're going to help the military, and we're going to cut spending. And all that will start in about 2 weeks if we pass the bill tomorrow night.
All right, when you say in the middle of the night, what do you really mean literally in the middle of the night?
Yeah, we're going to work our ass off. Failure's not an option. Senator Thune has put in place, along with me and all of my colleagues, a process to jumpstart what I just described. We will have to go through a thing called the Vote-a-Rama. We could be there to 3 or 4 in the morning, but we're not going to quit.
Well, I thought Kavanaugh, you had maybe one of your best moments as a senator. This is probably the most important thing you can do for the future of our country to get this economy in place. And we need all 53 senators, hopefully, to get on board. Are you confident you will have the votes to get this done?
And so this is going to lock in a stabilized budget situation because the Democrats are just causing chaos every chance they get. Whatever they can do to disrupt anything Trump does from being successful is their plan. So they're not actively working in the interests of Americans. They're working for the interests of the Democrat Party, and that's a dangerous spot to be in. You're supposed to be able, in a perfect world, to work together on the issues that are the most important together. Sadly, the Democrats have such a different vision for America. There simply is no working with them. They've proven themselves incapable and incompetent time and time again. So will they have the support of all 53 senators?
Last question.
Yes, I do. I do believe it. This is President Trump's agenda. We have a chance to make it.
Do people need to contact their senators tomorrow? Do I need to go on radio tomorrow and give out?
I'll let you know, but We promised to cut your taxes. We promised to secure your border. We promised to make the military stronger. And we promised to cut spending. We're going to do it without Democrats if we all act together. I am confident we will get there, and God help us if we don't.
All right. So keep your eyes peeled on the budget. Here's another one about the UK. Is this real?
You're not paying your TV license.
Are you paying your TV license?
But I don't need a TV license.
Yes, you do. You've got a TV.
Well, yes, I have a TV, but I don't watch live or anything like that.
It don't matter. You got BBC on your TV.
Well, yeah, but I don't watch it. I watch Netflix. I watch.
I feel like this is a skit. Is this a skit?
YouTube, Amazon.
You still have to pay your TV license, and you have to let me in and show you.
I can't. I'm not going to let you in my house just to see that. I don't need to pay it. All I do is watch Netflix, YouTube, and Amazon. That doesn't mean I have to pay it.
See on your TV.
You're on my property, and I need you to leave.
I need to put this through your letterbox.
I'm not going to pay it.
I mean, is this real or not?
Put this through your letterbox.
You need to get off my property.
Well, you're watching the government's property.
Well, this is my house.
This is your house, and you're watching BBC in your house.
I'm not watching BBC. Yes, I have it on there. Doesn't mean I'm watching it. Therefore, I don't have to pay a TV license for something I'm not watching.
If you've got BBC on your TV...
This is a skit, right?
You need to pay your license.
But I'm not watching it.
It doesn't matter. You've got BBC.
I don't see the point in me watching.
Because why does a person keep zooming in and zooming out?
Of me paying for it?
I'm afraid it's the law. I'm going to post this to you.
Is this like an advertisement to vote a different way about some policy?
You to say you've not paid your TV license.
It is impossible to figure out. Has the UK fallen, or is this satire? Because you keep hearing these reports that you need to beg for permission to live. But then again, that is what the European way is. They're begging for rulers. They love to lie. Oh, bloody heck, isn't it? Isn't it, governor? This is from Liberty Valkyrie. The quote you want to remember here is, Trump is not a savior. He's a tourniquet. The commenter starts talking, says, for those of you going
like, what's the point of this? We got Trump in the office. Okay, listen, Trump is not a savior. He's a tourniquet. And
Trump is not a savior. He's a tourniquet.
if we don't figure this out in the next 4 years, you'll get Gavin Newsom or AOC as a president in 2028. So, like, it's not time to, like, celebrate and, like, ease off the gas and say, well, we got an advocate now in the White House. It's the time to drive the enemy all the way out of the land. Put the gas all the way down. And remember that we have a culture heart sickness problem in this country, and the mean tweeting orange man who's doing some really cool stuff right now, he's not going to solve all that. He can hold back some of the wickedness, and that's really good. Those of you going,
that's a good thing to remember. It's like, oh, now I can relax. No, this is the first chance you've had to move the ball down the other side of the field. The Overton window has taken common sense at the 45 to 45 of the football field, right there at midfield. And the Overton window is the 10-yard marker for first down. The left, the communists, the Marxists, the Leninists, the Stalinists, they have gone so far left. They're completely off screen. They're ready to score a touchdown. There is nowhere else to go. This has to snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes rabbity. Choked, he so mad, but he won't give up that because he know. This is the time to double down and go. Is you're on offense, go. March the ball downfield. Ball to the wall. Yes, Kenneth. Ball to the wall. Everyone needs to be working a little bit harder right now. How much more do you want to work if you own a fuel-efficient car? I heard this story before. I don't know how new this is, but it says they've already canceled, or they've collected $2.8 billion in revenue since 2023 in the gas tax. But Washington facing $1 billion shortfall in their transportation budget. What's this?
Lawmakers are considering a wide variety of ways to close a $1 billion gap in funding.
Well-conditioned transportation system doesn't come for free.
House Transportation Chair Democrat Jake Five Tacoma says transportation project costs have gone up while revenue from gas taxes has gone down. Aside from an increase in the gas tax and other car-related fees, he's proposing a new highway use fee to bring in more revenue for transportation projects. The fee would be collected when a driver renews their registration and calculated using a formula based on a car's combined fuel economy rating, with more fuel-efficient cars paying a higher fee.
The top range is maybe...
So now they want to punish you for doing something that should be doing the right thing. You can't win with these people.
$75 to $100 if you get a very, very efficient vehicle.
He argues with gas tax revenues falling because of how
$5.30 a gallon. California, Washington, the West Coast is nuts with their energy. Unlock the energy and drop these prices. This is madness. Stop stealing from us.
Efficient cars have become. The highway use fee targets those who get to fill up less often and therefore pay less to preserve roads.
It's basically a way to offset the losses from our gas tax revenue.
Lawmakers are considering a wide variety.
You cannot win with these people.
Oh, that's it.
After buying a Tesla to avoid the gas tax, and now there's a tax for that, and your car's on fire.
I've had it with this dump.
Using a calculator for your budget for dummies. Washington edition. Oh, good grief.
Mary, you won't let go of me.
You're retarded.
What?
I just diagnosed you retarded.
Washington lawmakers.
All right.
Oh no. Toll lane, sugar tax, highest sales tax, registration tax, green gate tax, green tax, high paper tax, something else tax. I don't even know what that means.
All right.
Wow, that got funny quick. Oh, that was good. I'm glad I stuck around for that one. All right, here's Panic on MSNBC. What do you got here? Who is this person? It's not telling me. No idea who this beta boy is. But here's an MSNBC segment that Benny Johnson is highlighting.
Over at the DOJ today, they had a briefing at the Department of Justice, and it was like Bannon, Benny Johnson, and it was just a whole rogues gallery of Loomer-esque weirdos that were like...
Loomer-esque weirdos? You're not a... Okay.
Having a briefing at the DOJ about the politicization of our government. So, Justice Department, national security decisions are being decided by MAGA conspiracy bloggers.
MAGA conspiracy bloggers. What conspiracies are you referencing, sir? You want to level an accusation? I'd love to unpack what you think you mean by that. Can you defend your stance?
That should help you sleep at night. The thing.
Sassy. Benny says, we have more viewers, more subscribers, and more cultural influence. We are real. You are fake. We will win. They are fake. Classical Liberty says, imagine you're in a massive credit card debt, and anytime anyone tries to cut the family spending, they're called a bad person. That's our country right now. All right, let's go ahead and make a pivot, and we're going to do our lightning round through X to find out what's trending now and what other stories were missed on that wraparound from Instagram. Here's Luke Rudowski discussing what he's hearing about Europe and how the U.S. is connected and what we need to kind of prepare for. Once again, if there's a storm outside, do you have a plan in place? Here you go. Take a listen.
I'm just perusing the internet here, and something big's brewing. I don't know if you guys are seeing it or hearing it as much as I am right now, but I just did a big deep dive into what's happening right now with Iran, as there's preliminary reports coming in right now of them closing down their airspace and preparing their military for full readiness as we're speaking right now. There's also a lot of very interesting military activity with the United States sending down a ton of resources, troops, reinforcements, and gear from the United States to Europe, from Europe to the Middle East, specifically to all the bases that they have surrounding, of course, Iran here. We have some very interesting actions from Qatar, UAE, the United States, Israel.
It's a lot happening. And you've seen the Houthis, you've seen Yemen, you've seen different things happening, different military actions occurring, piracy. You see China saber rattling around their island. conversation about taking over Greenland, shipping lanes, Panama Canal. The whole globe is in play right now.
Lots of hearsay from Israeli officials saying it's on, the strike against Iran is on, something that has been a big neoconservative wish ever since the early 2000s that they have never been able to fully achieve. Now it looks like the situation is changing, not just in the Middle East, but also now with Asia as well. As specifically now, there's also the war games, surprise war games that happened with China, sending in a lot of their top military ships all around the island. A lot of their aircraft just buzzed the island. We had our U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth just come out and say the United States, he just released a statement.
Just released a statement. All right. As the U.S.-China tariffs are escalating.
As well. The United States will deter China from seizing Taiwan, essentially announcing that the United States will be defending Taiwan here. All of this as the Russians have just started to conscript more people into their military with what a lot of people are saying their next big kind of offensive move, which could happen anytime between now and the summer. So, again, all my sources are coming to me saying, hey, watch out for something big here. And it definitely does look like we are on the precipice for something that could very quickly escalate, not just with Russia, Ukraine, not just with Taiwan, China, not just with Israel, the United States, going
everything, everywhere, all at once.
Against Iran. The Houthis are being attacked here, and
with 30 million illegal alien invaders pre-positioned and deposited as potential sleeper cells across this country. From parts unknown. With Palestinian roots, Israeli roots, Ukrainian roots, Russian roots, Chinese roots, Taiwanese roots, communist, Marxist, socialist, Leninist roots, radical revolutionary roots, cartel roots, mob roots, gang roots. What are the roots of the people that were replanted over here, and for what purpose?
This could all crescendo. People don't understand just how fast history kind of moves here. Look at what happened during World War I. Again, one country got involved, another country got involved. All these countries have alliances together, and certainly the sphere of influences are definitely colliding, and the storm clouds are gathering. And I think we're in one of the most dangerous times we have ever been.
There's a storm of brewing.
I just did a full video. Go check it out right now. YouTube.com/wearechange. Go watch the last video that I just reported on, because I think it's major. I think it's important, and I think it's of everyone's importance to pay attention to, and then call for peace at the same time, saying we had enough war. This is nonsense. This is insanity. It needs to stop. If you agree, share this video.
All right. So there you go. Let's go to our profile here. So yeah, I'm not going to belabor the point that Luke was making. I said it earlier. Red Dawn 3, huh? How many Red Dawns were there? 2? And what was the plot line of Red Dawn? I don't know that I've ever seen Red Dawn. It's a Chinese invasion. Is that what it is? Chinese invasion attempt. But look, I talked about the storm. I talked about the tornadoes. I talked about being ready to grab your stuff at a moment's notice, having a plan, having a bug out bag. Getting your affairs in order, getting things in place. How quickly are you ready to go? We've seen it in the Maui wildfires. We've seen it in the Western North Carolina floods. We've seen it with the chemical spills in East Palestine. And if there's a global conflict, I would not be so daft as to think that America is going to be off the chessboard. So pay attention to these things. Donald Trump is making a post here. He says this would be a perfect time for Fed Chairman Jerome Powell to cut interest rates. He is always late, but he could now change his image and quickly. Energy prices are down. Interest rates are down. Inflation is down. Even eggs are down 69%, and jobs are up. All within 2 months. A big win for America. Cut interest rates, Jerome, and stop playing politics. The 10-year Treasury has fallen below 4%. Doge's Antonio Gracia saying that massive numbers of illegal migrants who receive Social Security numbers are on taxpayer-funded benefits. Every benefit program we looked at was being accessed by these people. 1.3 million of them are on Medicaid right now, today. And by the way, it's just ramping. It's just starting. They found hard hits in the target center, very bad people, criminals, and people on terrorist watch lists. They are in this group. Oh my gosh. Charge the Democrats with complicity in this. All right, Paul Cispula is reporting that Russell Brand has been charged with grape and other 6 crimes. He vehemently denies all allegations and is assumed innocent until proven guilty. Oh, Kenneth, no, that's not the Red Dawn I meant. Oh, Kenneth, no. Let's say he denies all allegations, presumed innocent unless proven guilty. That said, he's being tried in London, where white men get persecuted 24/7. The odds are stacked against Russell Brand. Here's Russell Brand in his own words, responding.
Hello. Firstly, thank you for these incredible and overwhelming messages of support. We're very fortunate in a way to live in a time where there's so little trust in the British government. We're very fortunate, I suppose, that this is happening at a time where we know that the law has become a kind of weapon to be used against people, institutions, and sometimes entire nations that will not accept and tolerate levels of corruption that are unprecedented. I'm speaking particularly to those of you that are watching this in the UK. How do you feel about your legal system right now? How do you feel about some of the high-profile cases that are not being pursued and prosecuted? How do you feel that the Southport murders were handled? How do you feel about the government of Keir Starmer? Now, that's just sort of general context. Me, I've always told you guys that when I was young and single, before I had my wife and family, were just out of shot over there, my beautiful children, I was a fool, man. I was a fool before I lived in the light of the Lord. I was a drug addict, a sex addict, and an imbecile. But what I never was a rapist. I've never engaged in non-consensual activity. I pray that you can see that by looking in my eyes. I want to thank all of you for your continuing support. I want to let you know that our show will be on Rumble on Monday. Thanks for your support there. And of course, I'm now going to have the opportunity to defend these charges in court, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. In the meantime, you lot, stay free. And we will be continuing to discuss this matter. Praise the Lord.
So there you go. Keep an eye on that. Are they just finding another Elon associate, somebody in the movement, deemed to be in the movement? He was more of a Kennedy guy. He was at the RFK Jr. event in Nashville, where Blake and I went to to go see a night of comedy. And he was one of the superstars of that. And of course, he's teamed up on Rumble with Steven Crowder, Louder with Crowder, and Tim Pool, and some of the other big names. Tim Pool teams up with Luke Rudowski. There's a lot of overlap, you know? So we'll keep our eyes peeled on that. Elon Musk says free Le Pen, and Donald Trump weighed in on this as well. The witch hunt against Marine Le Pen is another example of European leftists using lawfare to silence free speech and censor their political opponent. This time going so far as to put that opponent in prison. It is the same playbook that was used against me. Did I read all of this before? I think I did read this all before. Anyway, looks like a bookkeeping error. Lunatics and losers like Norm Eisen, Andrew Weissman, and Lisa Monaco. Free Marine Le Pen. I think I did read that once before. This post here says, I believe before Trump floated the idea of annexing Greenland, Denmark was talking about granting it independence through referendum. And they're saying you cannot annex another country if you want to be more present in Greenland. Greenland and Denmark is ready. The U.S. doesn't even want to give us $1,000 a month in universal basic income, but Greenlanders are getting $60,000 plus free health care. JD Vance says the thing that I picked up on is they get about $60,000 a year from the government of Denmark. That's $60K a year per person in Greenland. What the president has said is we can give the people of Greenland way more money than that. How weird is that? Sam Haselby says this. In fact, you can annex another country. That's how Denmark got Greenland. This does not mean the U.S. should annex Greenland. So, you know, the conversation is happening, whatever happens there. Danish foreign minister. Well, let's hear it from Lars Rasmussen. Honest and direct meeting with Secretary Rubio yesterday. I made it crystal clear that claims and statements about annexing Greenland are not only unacceptable and disrespectful, they amount to a violation of international law. NEXTA says Danish Foreign Minister Lars Rasmussen, following his meeting with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, stated that Denmark will reject any U.S. claims to Greenland. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen explains one cannot annex the territory of another country as she stands next to the Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen of a country that Denmark annexed, Free Greenland. Okay. So there's pushback on her claims that you can't annex because they're currently annexing. Well, let's keep our eyes peeled. Donald Trump said, we just had a very productive call to with Tu Lam, General Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam, who told me that Vietnam wants to cut their tariffs down to zero if they are able to make an agreement with the U.S. I thanked him on behalf of our country and said I look forward to meeting in the near future. Benny says President Trump says Vietnam wants to cut their tariffs down to zero by making an agreement with the U.S. Look at that. It's almost as if this was the plan all along. Let's negotiate down to zero tariffs, shall we? Let's hear from Pam Bondi. Give us a list of 5 things you worked on last week. Here you go.
Today, we're here to announce the arrest of 3 more MS-13 gang members who were in this country illegally, and they were in Florida, and we will be reviewing them. They've all been arrested for first-degree murder. We will be reviewing them to see if we will seek the death penalty. This has been a long-running investigation that started in 2015. Today.
Good. Thank you for continuing to make this happen. Goodbye, David. We'll talk to you later. People got to duck in and duck out. We totally get it. Attorney General Pam Bondi says the Department of Justice will not rest until this terrorist group is dismantled and its members are behind bars. So that's good. Best video of the day, Chuck Schumer in 1996 talking about, well, is he MAGA?
I thank the gentleman, salute him for his work on this, rise in support of the amendment. First of all, Social Security card is used from one end of America to the other as an identification card right now. Who are we kidding? If you want to pass a law and says it shouldn't be, I would ask the chairman and the distinguished minority member of the Social Security committee to pass that law, but let's admit the truth. Everywhere people go, they're asked for a Social Security card. In fact, one way to prove you're a bona fide person who can have a job is to ask for a driver's license and a Social Security card. This is an anti-fraud amendment. All over where we go, people say, well, why can't you stop illegal immigrants or others from coming here? And the number one answer we give our constituents is when they come here, they can get jobs, get benefits against the law because of fraud. And here, the gentleman from Florida has put together the most effective anti-fraud measure we can find without it changing the actions of the government one bit. And we find all this opposition. Ladies and gentlemen of this chamber, what I worry about is that this bill, which started out with good intentions, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, is going to end up being the same kind of thing that the public gets angry with us on. We say we're doing something, and we do nothing. Because every time someone makes a rational and small proposal to get something done, people say, well, what about this hypothetical, that hypothetical, etc. I urge support of this amendment. If you believe you want to stop fraud in immigration, you have no choice but to support this amendment.
Gentleman's time has expired.
Remember that? How beautiful is that? 1996 immigration. All right, let's talk about Joe Biden, shall we?
2024 was the craziest election in history.
I mean, wasn't 2024 the craziest election in history? Coups and assassination attempts and madness.
One president got shot and arrested, the other got couped. And now we're finding out why everybody works so hard to hide the truth. After reading the new book, Revenge, the inside story of Trump's return to power, I'm shocked Trump wasn't shot at more. A year before Butler, Trump was being shuffled in and out of court, and the president wasn't being properly protected. Trump was taking the elevator, but Secret Service didn't even shut off public access. So the elevator opened at every single floor, and anybody in the building could have gotten to Trump. When the elevator's doors opened, one guy said, it's effing Trump. Things were worse on the road.
Jeez.
On the way back to the airport, police didn't even clear the streets. Trump's motorcade was stuck in traffic. They were getting cut off. Someone in the president's entourage thought, quote, Trump could get rammed. A year later, he was shot. But the day after Butler, security was still lacking. Trump's family was staying at a hotel in Milwaukee at the convention, but the Secret Service refused to put magnetometers at the entrance. And then they tried to fire Trump's most trusted agent, Sean Curran, one of the guys who saved Trump. Cheadle, the weasel, wanted him to be the fall guy for Butler.
Cheadle the weasel.
Trump's team said, if you fire him, we're going public with everything. Cheadle backed down, and Trump appointed Curran to Secret Service director. Did Biden even know his people were putting his opponent in the crosshairs?
What about a big cover-up? I mean, we've been talking a lot about Donald Trump lately. I just want to ask a simple question. Who in the heck was running the country? If the president's mental acuity was in question and some days he's on and some days he's off, was the guy really capable of doing the job day to day? I honestly really question that.
At this point, we can't confirm Biden was aware of anything that happened in his term.
It's the third Obama
His
term.
team knew he was mentally defunct even before 2020.
We all knew.
They were sitting in the Oval talking about campaign strategy for his second run. And one aide said this, in 2020, we had this great excuse of the basement, of COVID, to keep him out of the public eye.
Thank you.
We no longer have that excuse. What do we do? Biden couldn't even celebrate his favorite holiday, St. Patty's. Obama's chief of staff was in the room and saw Biden using a teleprompter to talk to people. Quote, if the president needed a script for a small gathering of Irish guys, how would he survive the rigors of a campaign? How are they letting this thing go on? This is crazy. Everyone knew about Biden's condition, and then the dam broke on debate night. The machine that protected him took him out. Obama's knife cut the deepest. As the walls closed in, Biden felt abandoned. It was his perceived betrayal by Barack Obama that stung most of all. What hurt was that Obama hadn't picked up the phone and called him. Ron Klain, Biden's chief of staff, tried to save the ship. After the debate, Klain told Joe to stay in D.C. and fight the coup. But Biden took the weekend off and did a photo shoot with Annie Leibovitz at Camp David instead. Then Klain tried to win over the squad by setting up a Zoom call. But Biden just ended up scolding them. Quote, all you guys want to talk about is Gaza. What would you have me do? I was a progressive before some of you guys were even in Congress. Somehow, after 50 years in D.C., Biden still doesn't get politics. How was he elected president in the first place? His handlers controlled everything. Guys like Ron Klain were running the show while Biden slept poolside. He told Biden what to do and say, crash the economy and open the border.
So is Ron Klain the guy? You've heard what? Rick Sullivan, Ron Klain. You've heard a laundry list of people that were allegedly the president, the shadow president.
That's why when Ron retired, he got a bigger standing O than Joe.
Oh, is that what that was about? The real president.
Even Binder called him the boss.
Ron has been an incredible boss. He is someone that I've enjoyed working with every day. And many of us, and I think all of us here, are part of the Kleiniacs.
Everybody in D.C. and the media knew we didn't have a president. But they waited until they cashed in their book deals to tell us. We need
Yeah, there you go. The last 4 years were scripted by the Coen brothers.
a commission to investigate. Democrats committed a crime against this republic. And everything that's happening to the party now, they deserve it. I'm sorry, they do.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Don't say sorry for obvious stuff.
Some are saying they should treat it like a Tesla and set it on fire.
I think what they need to do, and what I think a lot of strategists are telling me, is that they need to almost burn the house down, but not only burn the house down, accept some accountability and say, this is what went wrong. This is what we need to do now. And, you know, responsibility for President Biden and maybe not getting him out sooner.
Yeah, that is what we should do. We should burn it all down because we didn't get Joe Biden out sooner.
But not only burn the house down.
Yeah, not only burn the house down, but because they didn't get Joe Biden out sooner.
Accept some accountability and
accept some accountability.
Say, this is what went wrong.
Yes, that's what went wrong.
This is what we need to do now.
Yes, that's what we need to do now.
And, you know, responsibility for President Biden and maybe not getting him out sooner.
Guys, I'm sorry. I just like trying to make, I like trying to mimic the thing that I hear, whatever that thing is. Oh my gosh.
I should have got him out sooner.
Anyway, let's continue here. Flashback to Barack Obama. When did things change? Well, you know.
We all agree on the need to better secure the border and punish employers who choose to hire illegal immigrants. We are a generous and welcoming people here in the United States, but those who enter the country illegally and those who employ them disrespect the rule of law, and they are showing disregard for those who are following the law. We simply cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected.
Are you hearing this?
Undocumented, unchecked, and circumventing the line of people who are waiting patiently, diligently, and lawfully to become immigrants in this country.
There you go. Remember how far we've come. 5 hours ago, $1.5 trillion in value has been erased from the stock market so far today. Unusual Whales reporting. Bitcoin is up to 83, up 2%. Dow is down almost 4%. We covered this earlier. Bitcoin just broke its correlation with the S&P. This is not priced in. I guess that's a big thing, right? So keep your eyes peeled on that. All right. Bernie Sanders. You want to hear his ideas on open borders before? Guys, are we living in a cuckoo clock? Is this real life?
Sharply raising the level of immigration we permit, even up to a level of open borders, about sharply increasing
open borders.
Shared by Western Lensman.
Borders, about sharply increasing
open borders.
Foreign aid.
Open borders. That's a Koch brothers proposal. The
Really?
idea, of course. I mean, that's a right.
Open borders is a Koch brothers proposal.
Of course. I mean, that's a right-wing proposal, which says essentially there is no United States.
But it would make a lot of the global poor richer, wouldn't it?
And it'd make everybody in America poor. Then you're doing away with the concept of a nation state.
Guys, are we living in a cuckoo clock? Is this Berenstain Bears territory now? Are we listening to Obama? Are we listening to Bernie Sanders? Is this real?
And I don't think there's any country on the world.
Whoa, I had to pause there, and he had his tongue sticking out of his mouth like a lizard. Did you see that? How far back was I? Where was that? I didn't imagine that. Trying to find the exact moment. Oh, come on. I didn't imagine this. Was it right there? It won't show me. There it is. There's his tongue out like a lizard, people. Take a look. Take a look. Is he a lizard, people? The Dow is going, ow. All right, so is Bernie Sanders a lizard wearing a human costume? I wouldn't say such a thing, but let's hear the rest of what he had to say.
And I don't think there's any country in the world which believes in that. If you believe in a nation state, or in a country called the United States, or UK, or Denmark, or any other country, you have an obligation, in my view, to do everything we can to help poor people. What right-wing people in this country would love is an open border policy. Bring in all kinds of people who work for $2 or $3 an hour. That would be great for them. I don't believe in that. I think we have to raise wages in this country. I think we have to do everything that we can to create the millions of jobs. You know what youth unemployment in the United States of America today? If you're white, a white kid, high school graduate, 33%, a Hispanic, 36%, African-American, 51%. You think we should open the borders and bring in a lot of low-wage workers? Or do you think maybe we should try to get jobs for those kids? So I think from a moral responsibility, we've got to do.
He sounds so much like Larry David.
Work with the rest of the industrialized world to address the problems of international poverty, but you don't do that by making people in this country even poorer.
I feel like I'm living in a cuckoo clock. Open borders.
Sharply raising the level of
open borders is a right-wing proposal. Mass immigration would be doing away with the concept of a nation state. Let's listen to Jason Whitlock's take on this track killing.
Will anybody in the sports media world talk about this? Will any of the Cowboys treat Austin Metcalf the way the Cowboys treated George Floyd, taking a knee all over the place? What's more of a tragedy? George Floyd overdosing on fentanyl under the knee of Derek Chauvin, or this 17-year-old boy, honor roll student, devout Christian, stabbed in the heart at a track meet?
Man.
But no one's outraged. Or, no, that's a misnomer. People are outraged. But these idolatrous, or these idols that have been installed in our culture, let's see if they have a word to say about this. I don't think they will. Because we've seen this before. Do you remember the shows I was doing a year and a half ago about the kid Ethan Liming?
Who was that?
The 17-year-old, I believe, high school football player in Akron, Ohio, who got beaten up and killed in the parking lot of LeBron James's I Promise
school? Man, I totally forgot about this.
Everybody goes deathly silent when the white kid with the promising future gets killed by young black men. The boys that killed Ethan Lyman, they got 18 months in prison.
That's it?
They were found not guilty of involuntary manslaughter. A dispute over someone shooting water pellets at these two young black boys turns into the death of Ethan Liming.
What's a water pellet? All right. Cash Patel here talking about Adam Schiff being the worst criminal in Congress. Let's get to work, Cash.
Adam Schiff is the worst criminal in Congress in the last 250 years. Adam Schiff went to the podium day after day after day saying, I know nothing about this. We're not going to discuss it. We're going to protect it. And then Adam Schiff, led the prosecution of the impeachment trial in the Senate of President Donald Trump. Talk about someone who was conflicted out of the game because he was part of the hoax that brought Charmella in, manufactured that false accusation, and then peddled it out to the world, and he continued, not surprising, he's lied about almost everything in his life. But now he lied just to set up a presidential impeachment. And that's what I was talking about, these disinformation campaigns. He should be investigated because he lied to the world about his interactions with Charmella, who is a whistleblower, and I can't stress it enough, that started a presidential impeachment.
Let's hope that we're going to have to answer for their actions. Let's check in on The View, see how hinged they're acting.
One of my premises for the book is that every law passed before the 1965 Voting Rights Act should be presumptively unconstitutional, right? But because before the 1965 Voting Rights Act, we were functionally an apartheid country. Not everybody who lived here could vote here. So why should I give about some law that some old white man passed in the 1920s, like the Immigration and Nationality Act, when they passed our fundamental my premises.
Okay. I am yes, you are no. Said, why give a F about laws old white males did? Ultimately, this all comes down to a deep-seated hatred of white people. Make no mistake, prepare accordingly. This is what's being pushed right now. It's ready to overthrow the country kind of energy. Being pushed by ABC, ESPN, Disney. Shocking. Regarding your kids, are you handing them over to radical leftist activists, or are you raising your kids?
I think whenever you talk about homeschooling or alternative schooling or not going to college, people get so up in arms because the norm is like you go through the school system, you go to college, you graduate, you get a job. But that may not work for everybody.
Well, it's the norm. It's how, because most people are concerned with their status in the community, right? And getting a college degree, even if it's, some nonsense, I'm not going to, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, right? But status, like, what does that mean? Status from your college that you went to college? No, like, I would prefer that my kid learns how to do something that enriches his life, their lives and other people's lives, like having a trade or creating a business or, whatever.
I think
when you hand over your kids, you're letting somebody else raise them. Vincent James says this singular clip will prove that Candace Owens is objectively correct when she says there's a secret cabal controlling the Trump administration. Watch this video. Ian Miles Chong saying Candace says nefarious Jews control the White House and are puppeteering Donald Trump and RFK Jr. to do Israel's bidding, and that these people are going to destroy free speech by rewriting the Bible. So there's a minute and a half there. There's 3.5 minutes there. Watch these clips. The context to this. Now, wait a minute. They're saying that this policeman is not referring to the Tesla defacer as a victim. It's the Tesla owner. The victim was satisfied when the defacer paid for the damages and didn't press charges. The cop did use some unnecessary words about compassion. I don't know if that's the right kind of context to add here. Watch it again. Maybe I didn't interpret it properly. Idaho. Let's get some news out of Idaho. Check this out.
Bill allowing the death penalty for pedophiles charged with and convicted of lewd conduct with children under the age of 12.
Idaho is now the only state that would charge pedophiles with death by firing squad.
And our Abby Will looked into the bill today.
Look at her. Womp womp. Yeah, I guess. No. She looks sad to report this. This should be like it's about damn time energy. She looks sad.
And the outcomes and the impact. Abby.
I know she doesn't want to look super joyous. Like it's a tough subject, but this is good news.
What have you learned?
Joe, that's right. It's House Bill 380, and it also strengthens punishments for other convicted pedophiles. Members of the House and Senate say it was time for Idaho to catch up with other states and create stricter punishments for pedophiles.
This legislation ensures that those who commit the most severe offenses against children face significant consequences.
Bravo, bravo, bravo. I want to hear this from every state in the country, please.
Sending a clear message that Idaho will not tolerate sexual abuse of our children.
Starting July 1st, the death penalty is on the table for anyone who sexually abuses a child under 12.
This legislation establishes a strong deterrent.
Under House Bill 380, if a defendant meets 3 of 17 criteria, they could be charged with the death penalty.
What we're doing here is we're trying to get the worst of the worst.
Some of those factors include 3 or more incidents of lewd contact with a minor, using force, or transmitting a sexually transmitted disease.
Oh, geez, that too. Ugh. Terrible. Okay. Here's a reminder from John Strand. Whistleblower Tina Peters was transferred to Denver Women's Prison early this morning to begin serving her 9-year sentence for the crime of exposing fraud, says John Strand. Her health is failing. Corrupt government is going to kill this Gold Star mom. And they're reaching out to FBI Dan Bongino. I mean, how about a pardon here? Is this a federal thing that could be? They're saying that her crime was blowing the whistle on election machines that they claim were rigged, that files were deleted, and there were ballot dumps that were shady. Trying to scare others and crush dissent. Is this something that can be appealed? Free Tina Peters, says Janie Johnson. Chef Andrew Gruel says the U.S. seafood trade deficit is about $25 billion. 85% of the seafood consumed in the U.S. is imported. And much of this results from the fact that we are one of the only developed countries without an open ocean aquaculture policy. It's also no wonder we consume such little seafood, and many of the leading causes in death can be alleviated by the healthy consumption of more seafood. So Chef Andrew Gruel kind of taking this chance to discuss where we're at with things. Janie Johnson. Okay, Victor Davis Hanson says, since when did the anti-war left prefer an endless and horrific war to a difficult, messy peace? Janie Johnson says, when Democrats didn't profit from war? Maybe that's where. Did you see this video? Conservative reporter attacked mid-interview by an enraged interviewee.
Don't understand the magnitude of having a child. I'm not the one who admitted they would be okay with killing babies in foster care and killing children that have been abused. That's not the point. What I'm saying. Don't understand the magnitude of okay with killing babies in foster care and killing children that have been abused. That's not the point. What I'm saying. Have been abused. That's the point. What I'm saying.
Look at this. Exploding her face. Look at this. Has this person been arrested yet? Look at this. This lady needs to go away for a very long time. You don't get to punch people you disagree with. Look at this. This woman busted all up. Not cool. Is this member of the squad calling for attacks on Elon? Take a listen. You tell me.
We might
Representative Pramila Jayapal.
call this getting strike ready. I think of it as getting us strike ready or street ready. And part of that is understanding our own strength. And as we develop that strength, being able to assess our risk tolerance, because we know that risk tolerance increases as the severity of the situation increases and as our own understanding of what's happening increases. So overall, the more we understand what's effective, what the risks are, and who's ready to participate, the more impact we can have. We might call this getting strike ready. I think of it.
Are they getting strike ready? Yeah, you better really watch the squad and these people. They are desperate. They are lashing out in criminal ways. They can't defend their policies. Americans have voted and don't want them anywhere near the wheels of power, the levers of power. Derek Evans reporting that President Trump said regarding Doge, they found something today that's horrible. It is horrible. You will find out very soon. What they found is incredible. He's asking if there's any ideas as to what they found. John Gilbertson says, I cringe every time I hear a member of Congress or Senate say that they're working hard to get new bills done. I call BS. President Trump works hard and gets things done. The rest of the do-nothings do just that. Nothing. Here's a 7-minute video if you want to watch it, but this is Jim Cramer going on and for nearly 8 minutes about how bad Trump's tariff plan is. Let's see if inverse Cramer holds true. It's one of those where the opposite of what Jim Cramer has to say turns out being prescient. We will see. Democrats with zero ideological consistency. Nancy Pelosi. This isn't just about products made in America. The Chinese want American products that are made in China. the transfer of the technology and transfer of the jobs that has taken place. The Nancy Pelosi of 96 sounds exactly like Donald Trump in 25. Wow. It's crazy seeing these people so young and realizing how old they are now. Woo. Yep, Bernie Sanders, free trade without tariffs will destroy American manufacturing. Of course, Bernie now says that Trump's tariffs will destroy America. Interesting. John Kennedy, always good to listen to for a soundbite. Well, how does he feel about taxes?
I think, Judge, that Mr. Musk and his team's efforts to control spending are the most important in the history of ever, certainly in my lifetime. My Democratic colleagues would prefer that we ask who needs to pay more in taxes. The American people want us to ask what the hell happened to the money.
There you go. You took plenty from us. What the hell happened to it? Thank you. Yeah, here's Chuck Schumer. Well, we played him earlier, but the number one reason illegals come to the U.S. is so they can defraud programs like Social Security, and he wants to stop it. Chuck is sounding very Doge. And I think that was all I had to share with you today. Thank you for joining us on the Agree to Disagree show. Or was it the TNAM AM show? I think it was the TNAM AM show today. Yes, it was. Thank you very much. Stop sharing. Kablamo. All right. Thanks for joining us on the TNAM AM show here on the New American Media, because the old American media failed you. Subscribe to the places at the bottom of the screen, please. Just do a search for the New American Media and subscribe to our channel on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, Kick, D Live, and YouTube. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. Podcast is the Agree to Disagree show on Spotify and Apple. Of course, for countervailing views on health and elections, go to cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov/rumor control. And if anybody would like to contribute, we are at Patreon, the New American Media, Venmo at Brian Engelman, Cash App, $ Brian Engelman, and PayPal at Fuzz Installment at the bottom of your screen. Whew, the weekend is upon us. Let's have a good one, people. Let's grab life by the horns and don't sit back and let ourselves become a product of our environment. Let's go out and make our environment a product of ourselves. To paraphrase The Opening of The Departed, another good movie I need to watch along with Tombstone. All right, but for now, on behalf of David and Kenneth and Bella's Choice and everybody else, I'm going to sign out for now. I'll be back, I believe tomorrow. And until then, I appreciate you. I love you.